Hey guys, it's Ernesto. Apologies for the tardiness, but we are live now, so we're here. If you guys hear any issues as far as audio or anything like that, just let us know or let me know, and I'll see what I could do to try to fix it here to make sure that you guys get the best audio. So, if this is your first time joining us, typically what you would see here on the Monday at 8 p.m. is the Monday Critique Show. And basically for the entire month of December, I've been trying to focus this show around business, and I've been calling it business talk. So I was inspired by a gentleman by the name of John. If you haven't checked out that first interview, go check it out. He inspired me basically to do this business conversation. So I really wanted to talk to full-time photographers and get their feedback on how they run their business and give you guys information to get you geared up and excited for the 2018. It's great to be inspired for photography. That's all well and good. You come to this channel to get posing ideas, composition, all that good stuff, lighting. That's awesome. But it's also great to get, from a business perspective, give you that reality check on what you need to do to get things right in that area to move forward to your next step, to your next journey, if that's what you want to do. Okay. So that's what I wanted to focus on this particular month. However, like I said, if you're here for the Monday Critique, I just want to show you guys really, really quick where you could submit your images for the Monday Critique, which will return January 18th, January 8th is going to return. I just have, obviously we have Christmas coming up and then we have the New Year's coming up. So it's going to be a little bit hectic. And so yeah, January 8th is when it's going to return. So let me switch to my desktop really quick and I'll show you guys where you can submit your image, and then we're going to get straight into the show. Then when we're having this interview, guys, drop your questions down below, any questions that you may have for me or for Ike, more specifically for Ike, because we are interviewing him. So if you have any questions for him, please drop those questions below and we'll get straight to it. So let me switch to my desktop here and show you guys how you could submit your images for the Monday Critique if that's what you wanted to do. So on Facebook, we have a group called Fine Art Photography and Modeling. And in that group is where you could submit your images specifically on a pin post, not the entire group. The entire group is not focused around critiquing images. But if you wanted to submit your images to be critiqued, there's this specific pin post here in the group. And on that pin post in the comment section, just drop your comments down below with your image along with how the image was captured, and then you could basically be able to get your images critiqued on the Monday Critique show. Now, this group is not about popularity, is not about growing the numbers. So there's 3 questions that you have to answer if you're not a member of the group, and if you don't answer those 3 questions, you're not coming in. It's just as simple as that. So you answer the questions, you get in, and then you could submit your images, and you can also share your images in the group as normal. Okay. All right. So with that said, tonight is a special broadcast. Like I said, we are going to be talking to Ike, also known as PhotoMeIke. We're going to be focusing specifically on how to get started in the senior photography business. Okay, so I'm going to transition here so we could see Ike, and I'm going to turn up his level so you can actually hear him, because he was there all this long, but you just couldn't hear him. So let me turn up his levels, and then let me get him on the screen here. So here he is. All right. So what's going on, Ike?
Hey, can you guys hear me? How do I sound? Any feedback?
You sound great to me.
Okay, good.
I'm hoping
What's up?
everybody else could hear you, and they will let us know if they can't. But I can hear you perfectly well. So, Ike, for the folks that don't know you out there, give us your 20-second elevator pitch of who Ike is and what your business is all about.
Okay, so I am a photographer, first and foremost. My wife and I both run a business. It's called Ike and Tosh Photography in Motion, and we do high school seniors, weddings, and family portraits. I have a daughter. She's 5 years old. Her name is Wisdom, and I am also a YouTuber now, and I make YouTube videos.
Yeah, guys, if you don't, that's how myself and Mike, I got in touch with each other, is because of his YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, go check it out. It's called PhotoMeIke. So you got to go check it out, just like his name.
Yeah.
So I had a quote from someone that I wanted to start with. Well, before I start with the quote, let's go rewind and let's figure out. So prior to photography, obviously you're a photographer. Prior to photography, like, what were you doing before, you quote unquote picked up a camera?
So before photography, before photography really kicked off, I worked in customer service at Comcast. So I worked in billing, and then I went to retention. So basically retention, if anybody knows, is trying to prevent customer turnaround, and it's like next level customer service. So whenever you call Comcast or whoever and you're like, hey, I want to cancel my service, or you complaining and it gets escalated, I was that guy. I was the retention guy to be like, no, you don't want to cancel. Here's how we're going to help out this situation. And I feel like I learned a lot from that job as far as dealing with people and what people expect and customer service. I did learn a few things that helped in the normal business about what people expect. Because if you come from a situation where you're not used to dealing with a lot of people, variety of people, and then you go into a service industry like photography, and especially when you're servicing retail, I call what I do retail photography, meaning I deal with people, as opposed to a fashion photographer or somebody who shoots commercially. I do retail work. I'm selling my photography to normal everyday people. But in dealing with everyday people, I learned quite a bit of how to handle situations, customer service wise, for photography. So yeah, I think that job helped me deal with the kind of mess that I was going to get dealing with people.
Yeah, I would say that is definitely a good skill to have. I mean, especially when you're dealing with rejections, how to, counter that rejection. A lot of photographers would just pick up a camera, myself included, and just love the art of it. But as far as understanding that relationship between your clients, when your clients is tossing different challenges at you, not necessarily difficulties, but challenges in the sense that you're too expensive, or I love your work, but I'm gonna think about doing something else. Trying to counter those types of situations. Some photographers don't have that skill set. So based on your experience, when you encounter those types of things, how do you counter it? When someone rejects you, or you just say, not my client, move on.
So that's a good question. For me, the only time I kind of really run into that is during sales sessions. And for me, it's just in retail in general, it's about trying to establish the value of the product that you're trying to sell, whether it be your photos, or the actual service itself, the photography service. For example, we're talking about senior photography. Our senior packages, or what we sell for senior photography, we're mid to high end in our area. For our prices and stuff like that, and people will wonder why would I spend this much money? Why do you guys cost so much? And for us, it's about instilling the value of the service, being that, hey, we do hair and makeup on set. You come to our house, so it's a relaxed environment. We go to different locations. We offer different outfit changes. We just offer a great experience. So if we get pushback on even just our session prices, we try to instill the value and kind of sell the value of the actual product. And then from there, it gets down to either you're my client or you're not my client. It's not about, we can offer a discount. It's more of a, Here's what we offer. This is the product. This is why you should invest in it, and we go from there. And same thing with like our in-person sales session. Like when we're doing our sales session for the actual like product, be it like the digital files or albums and stuff like that, it's just kind of like, this is why our digital files cost way more than actual print. Because with a file, you can print as much as you want, as many as you want. We don't crop or do anything to our images, so you get the full res file to do whatever you want with, like, just kind of selling the value. And then from there, just kind of answering any questions. I think it kind of revolves around just answering questions, because I don't want to try to like trick anybody into buying something. Like that's not me. That's not what I want to do. So if I'm going to sell something, I'm going to sell something that like I believe in, or that I think like this is actually a really cool product to have, and this is why, as opposed to trying to like convince somebody to spend more money than they probably should and want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I want to stay on this, but I also want to, I'm gonna
Pause for a second. Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Pause for a second. I'm looking at the live stream on the actual thing, and the chat thing is not coming up.
For you?
Yeah, well, on the actual YouTube page.
I'm seeing it. I just clicked on it.
On the Windows, it says super chats, and then it says you. Then I see my face all big, and then it says live chat, but it doesn't show anything. But
hang on one second. Let's ask the viewers out there. Hey guys, if you do see the chat, just give us a thumbs up and let us know if you're seeing that chat or if the chat went away.
On the window, just because I know like you guys will do a rewatch, and like I can see the chat part.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Window.
Oh, never. Yeah. Oh, I got you. Never mind, guys. Give me 1 second. I have to fix something on my end. 1 second. Because you know why I tried this new events thing, and yeah, never mind. Too long of explanation. Damn it! I hate to interrupt this whole conversation, but 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Actually, it will give me a good opportunity to circle back. So
yeah, I can answer whatever question while you figured. I just figured I was like, hey, I'm not seeing it come up.
You are spot on. I was too engaged. So let's see here. Let's see, there's a refresh. Okay, so now it should pop up now, hopefully. All right. So
it's a super delay. I'm looking at the actual YouTube video.
Yeah. Look at the YouTube video. The YouTube video is delayed, but
yeah, but like on my on my other screen on the Skype, it's all.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. So now there it is. All right. So let's. So apologies.
Oh wait, pause for a second. Miami Flint, you in Bermuda?
Who? Oh, you
see, there it is. Sorry. Shout out to Bermuda.
Shout out to Bermuda. So let me just circle back and try to, get to I wanted to dive in a little bit more on separating, like how you separate your sessions from your products as far as the cost, but I'll get to that later. But just circling back really quickly, what got you specifically interested in photography specifically?
Okay, so to try to make a long story short, my wife, Tosh, who many of you may know of, she actually started the photography business. When she started photography, I was at Comcast working, and I was actually trying to learn to be a stock trader, or like my goal was to be a day trader. I'm like, you know what? Screw going to work every day, working 9 to 5. I want to do something where I make lots of money and do my own thing. And this was right around 2007 when the market crashed. And I learned about because I was working customer service, I would talk to people on the phone. And I remember talking to this guy. He was telling me about Jones Soda and how the stock would go up. And he would cash out and get him a little extra money. And I was like, really? And the Comcast job was right when I started actually making real money. So I started to buy into financials and really learning about it. And around that exact same time, my wife had surgery on her foot, and so she couldn't really go to work, so she had to sit around the house. So she got into photography. To take it a little bit further back, we brought her a camera. Nikon did that that anybody can take a picture promo, and she saw that promo and she felt, oh my God, anybody can take a picture. I can take a picture. So they got the commercials work. If you guys don't know, the right advertising and commercials, they do work. Because she saw that commercial and we went and bought her a Nikon D40, and then we used it a few times, like typical consumers do, and then it sat on the shelf and collected dust. And then later, when she went into surgery, she decided she wanted to pick up the camera again. To take it even further back, my wife has always loved photography, and she wanted to be in the photography class in high school, but she didn't get accepted because like the photography teacher at the time got to choose who he wanted, so she never got chosen. So she missed that opportunity. And then she went overseas and studied abroad, ended up buying a film camera and took a few cool still life photos, but that was the extent of it. Then we bought her that D40, then she took a few pictures and that was it. And then fast forward, she had gotten surgery, started a photography business, and around this time I was like a supportive husband. So I would be like, oh yeah, babe, we're gonna buy these Scott Kelby books, like I'm gonna help her, and I'm gonna buy stock trading books. So we would be at the bookstore, Barnes and Noble, and we would leave with photography books and how to invest books, and she would read the photography stuff and I would read the how to invest stuff. But on the side, always thought photography was cool. I used to sell cameras at Circuit City. So I go back. I used to work in there, so I knew about cameras and how they worked in photography. I just was never interested in being a photographer, but I did make videos. I always liked making home videos and stuff like that. So anyways, my wife started a photography business. It used to be called Latasha Haynes Photography because she just started it with her name. And I was there and I would help out. And then after a while, we rebranded into Ike and Tosh. And for senior photography, it was kind of it's a deal. Senior photography is kind of like funny because it depends on where you are in the world, in the U.S., how relevant it is. Here on the West Coast, it's a big deal. In certain parts of the South, it's a big deal. But I believe, and what I understand is in certain parts of the country, it's not really a thing at all, senior photography. Like, it's hard to sell. But out here in the West Coast, the kids get to choose their own picture for the yearbook, and they get to do whatever they want. So senior photography is like a big deal out here. And so we got into it because it was a way to make money. And my wife has always liked young kids. She's always like the young adults. She ran a youth program for Goodwill. So we kind of naturally ended up taking senior pictures. When you start a business and you want to make money, you kind of do whatever you feel like is going to make money. And then you kind of slowly start off like this wide, and then you trickle your way down into what you actually care about and like, and that's kind of what we did.
So yeah, I guess that was going to be one of my questions. When Tosh started the business, obviously you weren't focused on the photography part of it at that point in time. But when she started the business, was she like diversify into different markets? Like weddings, seniors, portraits, all these different types of things. Where she diversify, or she was focused in one particular area?
We whatever made we as long as there was a person in front of the camera and there was money involved, we did it. So it was like we started off shooting people around our church. Mm-hmm. So it was like families, and then we would shoot friends and families, like portraits, like, oh, let's do a photo shoot. So it was stuff like that, and then we just started charging for families. We shot like a few babies. Quickly learned that was not the move. Babies, families, individuals, and weddings. Anything with a person in front of the camera, and we could charge for it. We weren't shooting pets or dogs or, landscapes or none of that stuff. It was just people and money. And that's just kind of what we started doing. So
in preparation for this, I read an article somewhere. I'm trying now to remember where the hell it was because it was just all over the place. But what you're stating is different than what this article is stating in regards to the senior markets. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. So you probably already, probably touched on it, and you're probably just going to repeat yourself. But basically what it said is, so I'm reading here from my my little notebook here. So it said, the senior portrait industry is dead, right? You can't make a living doing senior pictures. Everyone basically is saying everyone has a camera, and the person was saying, I can't compete with their low prices. So I guess my question for you is, do you agree with this particular statement that this person was making, that the senior market is pretty much dead. I guess it also is relative based on where you are, I guess, as well, depending on where you are.
I know like two senior photographers, both females, and there's several, but they make six figures. I know one for sure. She's up there. She's either seven figures or six figures, doing senior photography. And she, of course, she specializes. I don't. That's a whole nother subject, specializing and stuff like that. We don't specialize, but the friend I know, I don't know if you guys, because me and you talked about this, Ernesto, about the industry and YouTube. But a friend of mine who I know well, is her name is Amanda Holloway, and she's out of Texas. She's in Huntsville, Texas. She lives in Huntsville, but she services the Woodlands area, I believe, which is like right outside of Houston. It's like an hour out of Houston, I think. And she makes like big money shooting high school like big. When I say big money, I mean big money shooting high school seniors. So herself, the way she's able to make a lot of money doing, like, when I say what she charges for seniors is what some people charge for weddings, like wedding photography coverage. Like when I say she makes bank, she makes bank. Now, her market, I've been to visit her where she lives at. Where she lives and where she markets to are two totally different things. She lives in the area that's kind of like honky dunk, podunk town, but she markets to the people and the kids who go to like a really uppity school, who drive BMWs. Like these kids like are very well-to-do kids and come from well-to-do families. So I think that the senior market industry is dead. It may be for people who are very who can't offer very much. Like if they felt like, so let's say like 10 years ago, all you had to do was have a camera and be decent at Photoshop and put up a website and start a business. If that's all you had to do and you was going to be successful, that's not what you can't do that today. Today you have to offer more. Amanda Holloway, she offers hair and makeup, airbrush hair and makeup. She does the big hair. Like in Texas, they like the big hair, the big like plastic I won't say plastic. They like the flawless like glamour look. So that's the thing out there. So she offers that to the max, and then she offers like a really luxury type of product. Like her stuff feels and looks good. So the way she sells her product and offers it and markets it to the right people, she's able to make a sustained living doing scene photography. But if you just felt like, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to market to high school seniors and hope I can make it, it's just not going to work. We don't even do that. Like our main package offers hair and makeup on location. We take our kids to different places. We offer music. Like we do a lot for our kids. And there are a lot of kids, some of our seniors that we shoot seniors. Like we're competing not only against other photographers, but the kids who shoot themselves. But it goes back to like, we can offer you something, an experience that these kids can't offer you. And it's kind of like a status. Like, you know how somebody has an iPhone and somebody has an Android, and the people with iPhones look at people with Androids like you're a little bit less than, like, you got an Android, you must can't afford the nice stuff. Your business has to be positioned in a way to where, like, especially with kids, because kids talk, and it's like, what do you have, like what clothes are you wearing, what style, who you hang out with, like all of that stuff matters. So our business in a sense is grown to the point where like we are the photographers. So if you shoot with Ike and Tosh, people know that your pictures are gonna look great, and two, you spent some money, you can afford us. So
I guess on the back of that, like how does one, like, if as far as their photography, like they think like their photography is like, up to par, is good, good enough, right? To basically then to get clients. So what advice would you give someone that's just starting out and wants to shoot seniors, like how to break into the whole senior market? Like, is it based on marketing? Is it based on branding? Do you go into like social media, like, or do you go into actual schools and actually, physically interact with these kids? Like, how do you get your seniors, like your clients?
All of the above. I can tell you, and this is like really my wife should be here talking because she's the genius in the whole senior thing because she loves the kids. And but because I'm with her every day, I know exactly, so I can tell you exactly what we do. But she's the genius behind it. But we do all of the above. We started off shooting friends of families, like the kids that we knew who were like high school seniors or around high school senior age. And this is before Instagram popped off. This is before Instagram was a thing. Twitter was barely like out because we started shooting in 2010. Yeah, 2011 was like I think our first street team. So we started a senior model program, which we just had like friends of families and people that we knew like get together in different schools and represent our business and go out and spread the word. And in return, we offered them free photo shoots and free pictures for them to like tell their friends about us so they could get their friends to shoot with us and pay us. And that just kind of grew from there. So one, we have our senior model program, which that's a whole subject on its own that we could go into and talk about. Two, with social media nowadays, that's a big deal too. So now these kids there's a thing called Senior Sunday. I don't know if you guys know about this, but
No, I never heard of it.
yeah. So if you look up the hashtag Senior Sunday, all of the senior kids post their pictures, post a senior photo or whatever photo, and hashtag it Senior Sunday, and that's how all of the kids communicate with each other. Wait, so I got distracted by a
comment.
A comment. Myman,
Rabbit.
Myman got it right. He just talked about a man Holloway. Yeah,
Okay.
she's making bank. Anyways, so yeah, there's Senior Sunday, so all of the kids are like promoting their senior photos. Our photos get tagged and mentioned because we'll take pictures and send them out to the kids for their social media. And that's another thing, like if you're somebody who's like, oh, I hate social media, I hate digital prints, I hate all of that stuff, I want my stuff to be like print and I don't want digital files, it's going to be super tough for you to kind of survive unless you, again, are servicing to like a high-end market that only cares about that stuff. We are giving these kids, little sample files, preview pictures for them to post because these kids want to post really nice, well-curated images of themselves on social media because it gets lots of love and lots of likes. And these other kids are seeing their photos and saying, oh, who got their pictures done? Ike and Tosh. I'm going to go find them. It's way different from like families and weddings because like, older people aren't like up there, like that. They kind of look for services. But the kids, everything revolves around social media. So social media plays a big part in making sure these kids have photos to post on social media, be it Twitter, and incentivizing them to tag us. So hey, if you post this picture and write a nice review, we'll give you a free print, or we'll give you 2 more images if you post this and tag us. So if you get this many likes on the photo and tag us, it's ways to market to get these kids to benefit yourself and you by posting your stuff. As far as being in the schools, with our senior model programs and our kids, when they have like graduation parties, we go to our kids' graduation parties. As much as I'd rather not be there, it does help because they have juniors there and sophomores there who may or may not have heard of us, and they're meeting us for the first time at these parties and these functions. And they're like, oh, wow, those guys are really cool. When it's my turn to get senior pictures, I want to get pictures done by Ike and Tosh because they saw that we've done good work before. They met us. We're really cool in person. All of the above. One year, I think a year or 2 ago, we did a thing where we took all of our senior girls like Valentine's Day cards or some kind of something that we gave them. We went to every school and we delivered packages to the girls. It was quite a bit of work, but it all matters for visibility, for people seeing who you are, especially these kids, because attention spans are short. And so if they forget about you, they may not know who you are. So
that's a good point. Just a quick reminder, folks, put your questions in the comments. We'll get to it. I only have a couple more questions for Ike, and then we're going to dive into your questions in the comments. So put those questions there, and we're going to get to it. So I guess in follow-up to that, Ike, like how do you keep your business relevant? Actually, before I get to that, is that senior program that you're talking about, I think that's actually a fantastic idea to get yourself embedded into the senior market in the schools without actually physically being there yourself. So that co-branding, if you would, I think that's an ingenious idea.
Yeah, it's like, especially for kids, like for these kids, like they on to the next thing so easily. So it's a lot of work, especially for my wife and I. We have to, you either one have to be really good at like marketing on social media with like, posting certain, funny phrases, or like being somebody that kids want to follow and look after, or you have to be really good at being around in person and being somebody that these kids want to be around and talk about. If you are the it factor, I remember going back to Amanda Holloway. She said that like she was one of the most popular girls at her school, and she's not in school anymore. Like Amanda Holloway is like a popular, like, oh, you got shot by Amanda, oh, her, like, you want your business or your brand to be that popping, especially for high school seniors, that they talk about you like you're like, oh snap, you got pictures done by them, or we know your pictures are going to be good.
Oh, that's a good
Like,
point.
and then, and just, and like, and going back, like being there, like showing up to events, go to the games. Like my wife, she'll go to, like, she went to Lincoln High School, which is like one of the high schools. So she'll go to the games, like she'll go to the parties. We host parties, like get-togethers for the kids. Like we do stuff to make them involved, to show them like we're really cool people. We offer a really cool environment. We're hip. We listen to a lot of the same music they listen to, so we don't come off as like some old people who just take pictures. Like we come off as really cool people who are really cool to be around. Um,
I
so
think
yeah.
I think that is so important. I mean, to be engaged, and um, I guess the question that I had was like, how do you stay relevant? I guess that is the answer. Basically, you're staying engaged with your clients, and that's how you will continuously keep your hand on the or your finger on the pulse. When things are changing, you could feel that it's changing or the market is changing. So I
Hmm.
think that's from a photographer perspective, people that don't understand that just love to do photography and don't understand the business of it. That's one aspect of it. I think that's for me personally. I'm not a people person per se,
Hmm.
so this kind of stuff, it sounds all great and wonderful. For me to actually apply it, sometimes it will be a little bit of a struggle. And I think, what's your thoughts on an introverted person versus an extroverted person operating a business? Like, can a photographer who, and I think a lot of photographers are introverts, like myself. So
Hmm.
what advice would you give an introverted person that's trying to run a photography business for senior portraits? Like how would you advise them to
You
get
know
that?
what? You don't necessarily have to be a great person, like a outspoken person, but you need somebody to be an outspoken person for you. The benefit that I have is, again, my wife Tosh is very much outspoken with the girls, so she, like, in we have our street team, which is our senior model program, and it started off with boys and girls, right? We had guys and girls we shot. In the very first year, none of the guys got any referrals. The girls got a few referrals, but none of the boys got any referrals. And so, what we realized quickly is that boys don't do very good at marketing photos, because boys barely want to get their pictures taken. And even still to this day, you'll get some guys who are in it or who are about it, but for the most part, it's a female thing. Pictures are more of a female marketing thing. So it's easier for to get them to market for us. But with boys, their moms would call us to book the photos. With young girls, they call us to book the photos. They're like, hey, I saw you did my friends. I want to book you for a session. Or they'll tell their mom, hey, mom, this is who I want to shoot my photos. With boys, the mom is like, hey, I hear you do pictures. Can you shoot my son? It's like that all the time. So if anybody's wondering about boys and stuff, it's way harder to get boys to get photos done than it is for girls. You got to market to the parents for the guys. You got to market to the young girls for the boys. But back to what I was saying, my wife is very much, she's out there. She's a very much she's into, especially it's easier for her because it's females, young girls, so she can relate and she can mentor them. So she also serves as like a mentor and like a guidance counselor in some ways. And I just kind of like I kind of represent a male figure, in a lot of these girls' lives who may not have like a stable family home or whatever that may be, or maybe have somebody, a man who's like speaking good things into their life. So I kind of serve that purpose. But with us too, and our dynamics and our unique advantage of being who we are, if we didn't have that, if if I didn't have my wife Tosh and I wasn't that, I would have uh, a young kid or a group of kids who very much are vocal, popular, who people look up to be my mouthpiece. In the church, when we started off our business, and we what we did was we targeted the well, so when you go to church, right? I don't know how many of y'all go to the church or into there, not to get into religion, but there's kind of like a hierarchy in the churches. You got the pastor, and then you got the deacons and everybody, and the people who are really close, and then you got the congregation, right? And so we targeted the people, the deacons, the everybody who are like high up in the church. We gave them all free photo shoots just to bless them and their family for what they do for the church. And in turn, what that did was they became our mouthpieces, because if you look up to somebody in the church or whoever, typically people who you look up to, if they do something that is really cool, you're probably going to do it too. So I call it it's good enough. The good enough, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. So if some guy you look up to, like and maybe we can use a celebrity. I can't think of a celebrity. Let's say Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy is like, the new Apple AirPods are like great. I love them. If he uses them, you're like, oh, I'll look into the AirPods, because if they're good enough for him and he likes them, I might like them too. It's a cosign of a product.
Yep.
And so for us in the church, these top dogs, these beautiful looking families, these well-to-do people who had it all together, at least surface level wise, when we were able to get them to shoot with us and take their photos, and for them to display the pictures on Facebook, because old people on Facebook, that gave us a cosign to say, oh wow, who did your photos? Oh, they did it. Wow, you did a good job for these family. Can you shoot our pictures? Taking that to the senior photography world, when we recruit girls and people for our street team, before it kind of started off as like who has a high friend network level, who's popular, who has enough money, because of course what's your financial network of people, like can you afford us, and can your friends afford us? Like it was that. And so to make a long-winded answer shorter, just find somebody who's popular, who can spread the word for you, and be your mouthpiece. You don't have to say much. You don't have to say much at all. You just have to be really good at your post and having people speak for you. If not, you're going to have to speak up for yourself.
That is true. All right. So I have two other questions, but one of the questions that I want to get into, you started to touch on this at the beginning, and then we had our not technical problem, but the chat thing. So I want to circle back to it now. We talked about the genesis of your business, like how you got started, what you were doing before photography. We talk about how, you could attract clients, so now what I want to talk about is, dollars and cents, like, when you market to your particular clients, and you don't have to get into specific figures if you don't want to, but when you market to your particular clients, I know certain photographers out there, and this is a big discussion that's in the photography community, where photographers would shoot, it doesn't have to be seniors, it could be weddings, it could be whatever, but they charge a very nominal fee for, the photography session. They may charge like $300 or $100 or whatever it is, and they basically give away everything in the kitchen sink, right? So like, how do you approach your business, like when you're sitting down with your clients and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to charge you for session, this is what I'm going to charge you for products? Like, how do you break that out?
Everything we do now is basically web-based. So when people inquire, when people inquire now, we just send them a price list and say, here are our prices for, because on our website, and this is one thing you should have. You should have a website, or something professional. I still believe in websites if you're going to be a professional business, because you need to have a home base. You don't want Instagram to be your website, because the minute Instagram changes something up or Facebook changes something up, you're gonna be asked out. So you need to have a website, if just there to just to be as a backup plan. But so we have our website, and so when people come to us, we send them to our website. They can inquire, and ask you, what do you inquire for? Senior pictures, weddings, and they tell us what they want, and we send them a price list based on the actual services, and then they either buy it or they don't buy it, I guess. And let's say somebody books our senior package that was, hey, we have our big package, our middle package, and our small one, and we tell them the differences, and they book the middle one. Then after that, we send them the price list for the actual products. Somebody mentioned in-person sales. Yes, we do in-person sales, and I live streamed one in-person sales session, and I kind of vlogged another one. Just because I wanted to show that side of the business, because it's all fun to see people up here taking photos and editing Photoshop pictures and photoshopping photos, but I also wanted to show that, like, I really do run a business and people really do pay me to take their photos. And so as much as I do these shoots for fun and for free for YouTube content, like, there's another side of my life that I actually do run a full business. So one was like a live stream, and the other one was one where it was recorded, but you still got to record it and put the video together. But I did like 2 videos where, like, I was talking to them about the, products and stuff during the session. So yeah, this is what we offer, and this, and then, oh, this would be good for this, a canvas, or, these actual look good in the album, and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of like, what we do.
Okay.
What I would do during the session is talk about the sales, because for us, it's what we present ahead of time. It's not here, spend $100 and then we hit them with $1,000 minimum order fee. There's so many ways to charge and go about the business aspect. For us, we like to put everything out front. So we're like, this is what this includes. For $600, you'll get this, that, and the third, and then you have to pay for stuff separately. Here's the prices for everything separately, so that there's no surprises. Now, if you have questions about how much stuff costs, again, that goes back into selling the value and why you would want this over that. But I don't like trying to, like, surprise people or getting people with bait and switch.
Got it. So
hopefully that answers that question.
It does. So I'm just gonna try to summarize it here. So essentially, what you're saying is that initially you offer a package, and that package is like 3 packages, and it has different price points for each one of the packages. You give that to your clients, they choose it, or they might choose something from the a la carte pricing, or maybe. So once they choose that basic package, then they have the option, or not basic, but one of the 3 packages, then they have the option after the session is done to add on to it, basically buy more stuff, going back to the in-person sales comment that was made. So in person, you could have the opportunity to upsell, I guess, for
correct,
bigger prints or whatever.
Yeah. So like from a figure standpoint, our small package is like $350 or $375, and it comes with nothing. You have to pay for everything separately. We have a middle package, which is $575. It comes with hair and makeup and 3 digital photos and a yearbook photo. And then we have a top package, which is like $850, and it comes like a family session. Because now, what Tosh realizes is a lot of times we'll get seniors who will book, and they haven't had family pictures since they were like a little kid. And so we offered a package which includes a separate family session for like $800 or like close to $900. So it's like basically everything that the middle package has, but it includes a family session too. So it's like a mini session. So like we're like, hey, we'll do your family pictures as well, because again, like we would find that every time we would do pictures, like, oh yeah, when's the last time you got family pictures done? Oh, it's been so long. I'm like, what? So yeah, we offer that now.
I don't want to glaze over this point, because I think it's very important that what you just mentioned. I think you said in your middle package you offer 3 digital images. In your bottom package, what do you offer? Any images at all?
No, nothing at all.
And then in your top package, how many images do you offer in that?
I think it's still 3. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you.
So,
yeah, I suck at
So the reason I wanted to zero in on this point, going back to why I was asking this question, basically photographers that charge like $100 or $300 or whatever it is, and basically give away all the images. I guess I want to make sure that you guys hear this, that you can't really do that. You can't really give away all your images because you're not really.
Not if you want to make
Ex-
not if you want to make a living. That person who wrote that article that said you can't make a living, you can't if you give away all your images.
Exactly. So I just want to make sure that you guys hear that, because there's a lot of photographers out there that feels, okay, I'm not that experienced or whatever. I'm just going to go out there and, shoot it and give away all the images. But I would say this, even if you're inexperienced, you still need to follow a process, a model that wouldn't shoot you in the legs down the road, So make sure you follow a good process, and, you'll be successful at the end of it. So I like to end my interviews, and this is not the end, just so you know, guys. This is just the end of my questioning. Then we're gonna go to the comments section, and then see what you guys have to say as far as questions for Ike. So for Ike, what piece of advice would you always recommend to a new creative out there that's looking to start their business? Something that you have learned over the years and that you probably wouldn't repeat ever again. Like, what would be your advice for those folks?
If you're trying to become an official business and get your money right, I remember the guy you had, I think last week, a week before, he was like QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Boy, QuickBooks, all right. Accounting, make sure your books are straight, so that you know how much money you're making and how much money you're not making and how much you owe in taxes. That's not very glamorous or anything sexy that people want to hear, but it's any person who's been in business for a while will tell you that knowing your books is one of the most important things you can know or have knowledge of when running a business. Like, when it comes to create, like I was, and we talked about this yesterday, Ernesto.
Yeah.
As far as skill level goes, you don't have to be that great of a photographer to make a lot of money, in my opinion. Like, you don't have to be the best photographer or even to be the best photoshopper. Like, as far as skill level goes, like, I could have stopped being better like 2 or 3 years ago. I wouldn't have to be as good as I was. I don't have to be better than I was 2 or 3 years ago to make the same amount of money that we make now. We just have to be better salespeople in marketing and know our business, because it's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And with that being said, like, photography, there's a very low bar to entry in photography. Like, you don't have to, like, anybody could, wake up tomorrow, buy a camera, put up a website, and as long as they can get a few people to book with them, they can call themselves a professional photographer. So it's not really about how good you are as a photographer. It's more about how good you are at business and in making yourself well known. And I said it because most people can't tell the difference between a good image and a great image, or a bad image and a good image, for that matter. We had people who paid us, $150, $200 for crap work, years ago, that I look at now, I'm like, ew. But they paid us for that, and they put it up there, and they're like, oh my God, like, so I'm like, I know for sure that people don't really know the difference, because if that was the case, they wouldn't have paid us for the crap that we shot, back in 2010, 2011. So you don't have to be that great a photographer, but you should know. You want to know how to run a business. I don't know if that helped as a tip, but I guess that's what I got.
It's invaluable. I mean, everybody want to learn photography. Obviously, you should learn. If you're going to do photography, you should learn it. And they want to learn all about the new gear and what's the latest this and the latest trend, and they all focus on that. But they never put the same energy and well, I shouldn't say they never. Some don't put the energy into understanding their business. Like, when we were starting out business, Wayne and I, One of the things that we sat down first thing basically is, get a contract in place between myself and him, to make sure that, how things would work, who would do what, and making sure all that is on paper. And getting all that stuff and getting all that basic fundamental stuff out of the way, things that people would consider like boring and probably you don't need to do, let's just start the business or whatever. But those are the basic things that you need to get done. Open up a bank account, making sure you're separating your personal from your business and stuff like that. These are the type of things that sometimes from a business perspective, when you're creative, you don't think about. So I would say, learn business just as you would your photography skill set, because it definitely will help you.
Yeah, you never really know where you're going to end up at or who you're going to be a year or two from now,
Yep.
especially with photography. Like I've seen people, and this is the thing about and this is what people, right? I always say be careful how you treat people, because you never know where they may be. This is even at your job. The person at your 9 to 5 job who's like, who this could be your coworker. Like I remember that people who like I worked with that I was like, oh, this guy's a dork, or he's a loser, or he's an asshole, or like why has he got a sticker? Like these people who, and then next thing you know, next week now they're your supervisor. They got promoted to your supervisor. So all of the mess that you talked about them, this person is your supervisor now. You're like, dang, I really got to be careful, because I used to make fun of them and joke on them. Now they're like the manager. Even we know, like most of us know, like in the real world, anybody could become anything unless you're the boss and you're the person in charge. If you're just a normal person, the person who you make fun of next week or next year could be your supervisor, or could be I forget, I don't know what the word, but above you. And with that in photography, a person starting out whose work isn't that great or may suck and you may look down on them, a year or two from now when they like get their stuff together and know better, they could be like one of the best photographers in the world, because you can grow, you can become a great photographer really fast. I feel like my wife and I, we got really good really fast, which helped and hurt us, because our business grew like really fast, and we had to catch up on the book side, like making sure that we knew where our money was coming from, what we were spending money on, because that stuff can get ahead of you. That's why I say like it's way more important to know your business, even if you're just making $100 per shoot. Like just know at least what you're doing, and like we all got to start off somewhere. So I always say like you back to when you're saying giving out the files, like because photography is a very low bar to entry, you don't have to do anything to get started. You kind of have to pay your dues in a way, like work for free or do work for less money, because you have to get your name out there and get yourself, get your experience up. But once you get your name out there and your experience up over time, you should, be not giving as much product away and start pulling back and start increasing your pricing. And as well with that, like along with all of that being said, from day one, like know your books. The minute you decide you want to be official, know your books. If you just like want to do, a few pictures on the side once a month to make $200 to buy a game or something, do what do your thing. But if you may want to become a business or decide like I actually want to do this as a side business and maybe become full-time in the future, knowing your books is so important.
Yeah.
And on top of that, as well, along with that, is being a great, marketer. Because again, you don't have to be a great photographer. I know so many photographers who will shoot circles around myself and my wife who don't make any money. And on the flip side, like me and my wife, we make a living shooting photography. We take pictures, we sell. And that's one thing a point I want to make, like you get caught up in like artists, because you see people who make these really cool photos and like, oh wow, you went to these mountains and took these pictures on a cliff and in the woods and in the snow, and you see all these really cool photos. They did all that stuff for free. They didn't get paid for any of that. Like maybe that was them building for the future, but that stuff is done for free. Like they're not making any money. They're just making really cool photos. And you always have to remember that, like, because you see people out here making these really cool images doesn't mean they're making money. When on the other side, you might be shooting some basic photos, but you're making six figures with your basic photography. And that's where my YouTube comes in. Like I don't make nearly as much money on these YouTube videos on my YouTube pages I do making photography. Like I don't have to do YouTube. I don't need it. It's not like if I stop making YouTube videos, I still have a shoot this weekend. I still have a wedding on the 29th. I just shot an event. Like I do photography, period. So like YouTube is allowing me to do these cool pictures for fun, but don't think because I'm taking these really cool pictures that I'm making money off of this stuff, like more than my actual business. And I say that because sometimes I see my peers or even younger kids that are making these really cool photos, and I'm like, oh yeah, they did that for free. I have to remember, like, that's free. Like I have to do a basic senior picture, but they pay me $1,000 for these basic pictures. And this person made this great artwork for free. Like, what do you want? Do you want the money or do you want the Instagram likes?
Yep. I think you just brought it down back to reality. You know, that's a fact. So
let me actually ask, because I'll show you some of my, because we're talking about scenes, so I want to show you guys some of my stuff.
Sure. And while I step away there, guys, if I'm pretty much done with my questions, so I'm going to go to your comments. So if you feel like I didn't ask a question that's specific to this topic, then you need to make sure that you ask that question in the comments, because once the video ends, you're not going to get your answer to your question. So make sure you drop those comments or questions in there.
This is a we call it a lookbook. It's and I say this is really good because this will go into products that we sell. Because if you're like, what do I sell or what do I offer? This is some of the products that we sell. We call this a lookbook, and it's like a little magazine. It's not like an album. It's just like a little magazine with the kids' pictures. You guys, these photos, these aren't groundbreaking pictures. These are just, regular portraits. There's nothing special, in my opinion, about these. They're just really good, solid portraits of high school senior girls. Let me pull out another one. Okay, so you guys remember Michaela from the video where I was on the roof? This is Michaela, right? This is when we took her senior pictures like 4 years ago. This is, I call it like a portfolio box.
And these are your samples, right?
Yeah, this is our logo on the back, Ike and Tosh. And on the front, these are a bunch of like really cool portraits. So I'm trying to see what I'm.
Says all of that in one of your packages, or is that sold separately?
So like, if you buy, you can buy it in a package, a la carte.
Okay.
So this is a senior boy. I shoot all of the boys. So like, if you see any picture of a boy from us, like I probably took it. This is a kid I shot like some years ago. He's a photographer now. Like he's on Instagram as Rad Photos. He actually takes really good photos, but he is a photographer too. Like I'm competing against him now, and I took his senior photos. What is this? Announcements. There's so many like different products that you can like offer and sell. Like, look at these photos. These are basic pictures. These pictures, this is the stuff that pays the bills. All that fun, cool stuff, the hot springs and all that stuff, that's cool. But this is this is how I eat right here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is Shelby. I mean, you guys know Shelby.
Yeah, I remember seeing her. Actually, didn't she do like 2 videos?
Huh?
She did like 2 videos, right? I think like 2.
Yeah,
videos.
we were supposed to do another shoot, but she ended up not showing up. So we're supposed to do another. This is like a little box. We don't offer this anymore, but this is,
How important do you think it is to have a product to show and sell? So like if you wanted to sell one of those items that you don't have to show, like people's imagination. You guys ever watch House Hunters on HGTV or whatever like that?
Mm-hmm. Or you try to show like, I remember like watching House Hunters and or Flip the House or Buy and Flip. And you ever see the show where people are like looking at a broken down house and they're like, I don't see it. Mm-hmm. And you have the guy who's like, oh, this is great. We could knock this wall down, put up a splash wall here. We could put an extra bathroom. And they just take a rusted, beat down house and they vision something like crazy good and they build it and it's like awesome. I could never do that. I could never see anything that's crap and envision a really good house. But some very few people can, and those people who can do that are amazing. Most people are like me. They have to see it, they have to feel it to know if it's good or not. You can describe the greatest like thing in the world to me, and I'm like, oh, it sounds good, but I want to see it. Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And that's what, like, with product, like you can tell me. We all see enough prints. We know what an 8x10 looks like. You don't have to necessarily show an 8x10. But stuff like books and albums, like, you have to show that to people, because they see it and they get reminded of, wow, this actually really is cool. I actually do want one of these. But if you are going to give somebody a price list and expect them to spend $2,000 based on you hand them a sheet of paper, you know how much stuff costs, it's not gonna work. That's why we have these products, these sample products, to show, because if they don't see it, they don't know to buy it. Like, how do you know? Like, what is a lookbook? Oh, it's like a magazine. Okay, what does that mean? Let me show you. You know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, well, I know I said it was my last question. This is really going to be my last question. Then we go to those comments, guys. Sorry. What vendor do you use for like the prints and for the physical products that you have there, and how do you design it? Like, where do you go to design it and print it?
These magazines, the albums. So I use Miller's for the albums, and let me think. I have one over here. I'll get one.
Sorry, guys, if I'm taking over the questions, but I promise I will get to you guys.
You guys, I even have a shirt. If you ever pay attention to my videos, in the bottom right corner, the logo shows up. Like, branding is everything. This is our logo, by the way, for our business. Branding is everything. So a catchy logo helps. But yeah, this is an album. This is a Miller's signature album. And the reason I picked Miller's, because they're really good quality books, but they're relatively inexpensive. So you can sell this for a really higher price, but not pay as much money. I think this costs like $150, maybe $130, but we sell it for $600. So, like, for example, we sell that for like $600. Amanda Holloway, she'll charge $2,000 for this exact same cardboard piece of paper. She'll sell for like $2,000, and she can get away with it. We can't get away with selling this not for the type of clients that we market to. And that's another thing I didn't touch on. But know your market, because, like, granted, I don't think that Amanda Holloway is not a better photographer than myself or Tosh, but who she markets to can afford those higher prices, and how she markets to them is perfect. We would never be able to market to those people, because, like, just who we are as people, it's hard for us to be in the same room with people like that. It's just hard. So when you're running a business and you're trying to sell to people, like, just make sure you know who you're trying to sell to, what you're selling, because you could end up, trying to sell to somebody who, like, is used to what's like a Neiman Marcus client. If you're like a Macy's person, you have to present yourself as a Macy's person and sell to like a Macy's, Nordstrom type person. But if you're trying to sell to like somebody who shops at Neiman Marcus, Gucci, your presentation has to be that way up front. Like, so.
Yeah, I mean.
So when it comes to pricing, but again, for products like Miller's, I use for the albums. We're like featured photographers for Black River Imaging, and we got connected with them like years ago, like back in 2013, I think. So they, quote unquote, sponsor us or whatever. We're featured photographers. Like, when we speak, they pay us to promote their products. So we use Black River Imaging for all of our prints. So like our regular prints, we use them, wallets and stuff like that. Canvases, we either use Black River Imaging or CG Pro Prints. CG Pro Prints does really good on canvases. Albums, I design the albums, and I use Miller's just because I like this quality book and it's relatively inexpensive. And I think I saw in the comments that James Parrish had said smart albums. I use smart albums to make the albums that I present. So yeah, Miller's is who I use in Black River Imaging.
Okay.
And then
Awesome.
we also have a USB box. Wait a second, pause.
More products. This must be how I get so excited when clients is in front of them. They're like more products. But I think it's important to also know your brand, know who you're targeting,
Here we go.
like it's saying.
Okay, so this is our USB. So here's the deal, right? We only charge $1,000 for the files, for all of the digital files. And you're like, how do you charge $1,000 for the files? You have to present it in a way for people to be like, oh, if I charge you $1,000 and I send you a link to a Dropbox, it's kind of hard to sell, $1,000 Dropbox link. If I say it comes in this box, it comes with a few prints, and it comes with a USB, a custom USB with all of the stuff on it. You can see our logo, branding. Like again, you got to be on point. Now I can charge $1,000 for the digital files and include a few prints in it as well. So
Who prints that? I get that as well, but who prints that for you, or who
I
produces
think
that?
I think it's like USB, some direct. I forget, to be honest with you. I know I'm no help on that. It's like USB direct drive something. It's one of the main people.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up here. I think the one that I use. Hang on, let's see. Is it photoflashdrive.com?
Yeah. They're those guys.
Yeah, that's the one that I use.
If you're trying to figure out like, and this is if you're trying to figure out like how do I make more money or how do I sell a product that how do I charge more for products, they have to be it has to have a perceived value. So again, if I say, oh, the digital files are going to be $1,000 and I'm gonna send you a link to download them from WeTransfer, or I'm gonna send you a Google Drive link, it's hard to sell that. Yeah, how are you gonna sell that to somebody who is used to spending money on like luxury product? And then you tell me, how do I download? Like some people don't even know how to use the computer. Like how do I even get to download the pictures? But if you say it's $1,000 and you get this product, a physical product, and inside there's a box here with a drive so you can plug into your Apple computer that you need to download to, technology is always moving.
Yeah.
And you get a few print. It's easier to sell the value in this as opposed to a link to download the files. So
I absolutely agree. It's
So
difficult to.
keep that in mind. Like if you guys are trying to sell products, like make sure, even if it's a regular print, if it's a regular 5x7 print, if you put the 5x7 in a box and wrap a bow around it and put a little card that says thank you with a little Jolly Rancher inside, you can sell your prints for $45, $50, $100 a print if you wrap it up this way. That's why Apple can charge you so much for, $150 for some headphones, for some USB or Bluetooth headphones, because they put it, you just feel good when you get the box. At least that much.
I agree. Is the perceived value versus the perceived value. Basically present it, package it up nicely, and you could sell a pencil to somebody.
You really can't. It's packaging, man. Look, I'm not the biggest alcohol person. I don't know the difference in wines. So I know when I go to the liquor store and I'm like looking for alcohol, whoever has the better looking bottle to me makes me feel like this must be better because the bottle looks better. You ever seen the what is it, Hypnotic? When it's in that blue, I'm like, oh, this must be special because the bottle is pretty. If they can afford a nice product on the outside, I could imagine what's in the inside is going to be good too. Now that's up for debate, what you drink and stuff, but that stuff matters.
Yeah.
What's on the top shelf versus what's on the bottom shelf, like all of that stuff matters.
I totally agree. All right, so what we're gonna try to do here, Ike, is I don't know how many questions in the comments here, but we're gonna try to do some rapid fire. Answer questions as quickly as possible, and then we'll go down the line here. So the first questions that I came across, I went all the way up to the top and then I scrolled down. So a lot of the comments that we had was mostly like, shout outs, and I think James was talking about your chicken. so there was some funny stuff going on, but I was just going straight to the questions because I didn't want to miss anything. So the first question that I came across is from James. Hey, James, what's up? Do you have watermarks on the images you give away to seniors?
Yeah, we used to. I I don't know if we do it as much now. This, you can tag. We just tell them to tag us in the photos. But I know we used to like put a little logo on the side for the free pictures. We gave them a picture for free. We'd put our logo on the side, and that's what built our name up. So I'm not against logo, like watermarking the files. Just make sure it's classy and just put it. Don't put it all in because then.
Yeah, totally agree. All right,
Yeah.
so
So yeah, I don't know if we do as much anymore as we used to, but we did used to put our little logo, our little Icontosh logo.
So we have a second question here from Wayne. Wayne, what's up? Ike, I'm assuming there were challenges in the early stages of launching your business. What 3 recommendations or tips would you give?
One I already talked about was the QuickBooks thing. 2, it's funny because we get caught up on gear and feeling like you have to have this camera or that camera to make it or to do good photos. I would say like a lot of our challenges were about well, I'm trying to think of our challenge because like, and I meant to mention this. We only own and use 3 main lenses: a 35, and we just started using the 35 consistently, a 50 and an 85. So 50 millimeter 1.4/1.8, which we really only use the 1.8 now because we had a 50 1.4, but it broke, so we had to replace it. An 85 1.8 and a 35 millimeter 1.8. And we started our business with a Nikon D40. Then we went to a Nikon D90, which is a crop sensor camera. And then we went from the D90 to the D700. So we built our business on the backs of crop sensor cameras. And then when we got enough money to upgrade, we upgraded to full frame. But most people can't really tell the difference between our work. It's just really, for us. So for us, our challenge was trying to buy gear because we were, and not that I recommend this to anybody, but we were kind of learning photography and selling it at the same time. Like we were like, oh, let's buy this lens because this lens will make our pictures better while we're charging people for a family session next weekend. We're trying out our lens for free. So that was a challenge for us, is acquiring the gear that we felt like we needed to do the jobs that we were hired to do. And that's why I rent a lot of gear now, especially because on a day-to-day basis, I don't need a 24-70 or the 70-200 or anything like that for portraits. Mm-hmm. But for weddings, that stuff comes in handy. And because I shoot like, maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20 weddings a year, like I can rent, the stuff when I need it and not be caught up in buying. So I would say like, don't get caught up in buying the latest and greatest gear. Rent when you need to rent and just purchase what you are going to use today, tomorrow, and next week. If you're going to buy a lens that you might use next month, you probably shouldn't buy it. You should just wait. But if you're going to buy a lens that you're going to use tomorrow and then again next week, that's probably worth the purchase. I remember I bought when I was working full time and I had checks coming in. Mm-hmm. I remember I spent like $1,000, $900 on the Nikon 10-24 3.5 to 5.6, not knowing any better. This is a wide angle lens 3.5 to 5. I brought it thinking, oh, we'll use this lens and this will make our photography better and we'll be able to take pictures with it. And then I realized, oh, this is not, I don't like this wide. It's just too wide. We can't do anything with it. So that lens collected dust. It still collects dust. It comes in once a blue moon. It might come in handy to have. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I could have dealt without spending $1,000 on that lens because that was a waste of money. But I didn't know any better. And so I just went and bought gear that I thought I needed, not knowing what I was buying. And so that could have been, a 85 1.4, or something that would have really came handy. But instead, I spent money on a 10-24 for my D7000 or D40 or whatever it was. It was dumb.
Yeah. So Marco, I want to acknowledge that I see your questions, but I think we already addressed this. He was asking about, do you do in-person sales? And that was already addressed, but I just want to make sure that I acknowledge the fact that I saw your question, Marco. So moving on here, we have a question from Randy 12 Gerard. How do we get around women that always think that they're hidden on? Sorry, let me rephrase that because I'm gonna. Sorry, let me clear my throat. How do you get around the women that I always think? I think you meant something else. That I always think that you're hidden on them just because you want to shoot them. I don't know how that pertains to senior portrait. I think he's talking more like adults. Um,
Um, I don't know. You know, I don't care, I guess is the way I would put it. Um, I don't like sometimes when I approach a stranger for their photo. Hold on a second. I kind of like awkward situations a little bit. Like I kind of like putting myself in the awkward situations and working my way in or around them. So at my gym, I don't typically approach random people on the street per se. But let's say if I work at an office or something, or if I go to a place where I go to a lot where I see the same people over and over, those are the people I'm likely to approach, for a photo. So I don't know how that would come across because, let's say I go to a coffee shop or, the coffee bar that I go to with the coffee goes. I go there all the time. There are attractive ladies that work there. They know me enough to know what, I'm here all the time. So they know my face. So when I offer to, ask them to shoot, I guess what helps me is I always have my Instagram ready. I have a portfolio ready. So if you have a portfolio ready of great work to show, it's a lot easier for them to be like, oh, this guy's the real deal. He's really a professional. He shot a few other people before. So maybe he's not trying. Maybe he really does want to take my pictures. Although there's some women that are probably going to feel that way anyway, regardless. And if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. If they say no, move on to the next one. Because I've gotten no's before. I remember there was this one lady who worked at my gym. She was a trainer, and I was like, "Yo, can I take your picture?" And I'm pretty awkward. I just go straight, "Hey, can I take your photo?" And like, "For what?" For Instagram. And she's like, "Why?" And like, there, I just want to take it. I'm not polished or anything. I just say what I want because for me, I feel like if I have all the best intentions of the world, if I can get you to get past my craziness, awkwardness at my lowest, if you can agree to me at my lowest, then you're going to appreciate what I have to offer at my highest. So I try not to be safe when I approach people. I try to approach people like how I want to approach them and hopefully that they agree. Because if they do, then they're not gonna agree. They're gonna be like happy that they agreed to my request. Otherwise, if they say no, I feel like it's your loss, not my loss. I'll find somebody else to ask to shoot. But you might come back around later on thinking like, oh man, I should have took him up on his offer. He's actually really good. So that's kind of how I go about it. Let me close the door right quick. Hey. Yeah, so I mean, if you are approaching people and they feel like you're hitting on them, pull out your Instagram or pull out a portfolio and say, no, no, I'm legit. Like this is my work. I'm really, trying to create, some portraits. And I guess you should probably come up with an angle of what you're trying to accomplish. Say, hey, I'm doing these portraits. I'm doing this. I'm trying to, create pictures of random strangers or whatever. If they say why me, as I think, be honest. Like I think you're beautiful. I think you might be good in front of the camera, and then you just kind of have to work around the rejections. If they say no, if they say nah, not me, then all right, thanks a lot, and keep it moving. Like don't be afraid of no. Like no is you get stronger, you get better from hearing no. And if you have to come with the attitude like I'm doing you a favor. Help me, help you.
Help me, help you.
Yeah. I'm trying to make this YouTube video. I need a new model. Would you like to, well, no, I don't know. You're sure.
By the
Okay,
way,
all right.
those are facts, people. He actually do actually do that. So Andre, I think we already addressed this. Yeah, I think we addressed this already. So Andre, I'm just gonna acknowledge the fact that I see a question here. Andre Lindo, he was talking about if it was just the sit-in fee or does that include images, and we already talked about that. So I'm gonna move on. And then Marco, and I think this question was already addressed as well. So Marco Castro is saying, at PhotoMeIke, you are very active on shoots in YouTube. That said, are these mostly TFP shoots which are set up for YouTube content and stay active? And I think the answer is yes, because you already addressed this. And then James Parrish. Oh, shoot. Hang on. My thing just skipped. Hang on. I got to go back up. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. So James is saying, so you only provide 3 images in the middle package, and the answer is yes. He only provides the 3 images in the middle package. So let's move on here to other questions. Ooh, come on, damn it. It's just skipping around. Damn. I wanted to stay in order so I don't miss anyone's questions. So that's why I'm trying to be very cautious here in my descent to go scroll down these messages here. If you see a question, Ike, go ahead and grab it out because I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss anyone.
James just donated some money, so I'll answer his question.
Go ahead.
James said, being married, my wife sometimes trips about me shooting ladies. How do you and Tosh work through you shooting portraits? So how do we work through about me shooting portraits of ladies? Well, for me, I only do that stuff for YouTube videos, so it's a purpose behind it. I think the benefit that I have is that, one, we're both photographers, and if Tosh wanted to come along on the shoots and shoot as well, she very much has the right to and the ability to come along and shoot with me. It's just that she's not into it. So, like, let's say your spouse is somebody who is not into photography and just wants to support you, then you wanting to go out and shoot some random female for fun or for whatever, or for practice, they might feel like, well, why? They might feel some kind of way about you doing it, but they have no interest in photography, and so they don't understand like why it is that you want to take these photos, because they don't have it. They don't get it. But because my wife is a photographer too, and we both started the business together, and we both shoot, she understands it's about photography, it's about capturing the image, it's about creating content, it's about these photos. So for me, it's a little bit easier because I haven't messed up in that regard of like getting, what is the word? Not getting caught, because I haven't even tried, but like I haven't gotten in a situation where I was attempting to like pursue one of the models. There's never been anything like that. So one, I have that going for me because I've never, had that issue. And two, she's a photographer as well, so she gets it. So it's like, oh, okay, all right, you're taking pictures. We're creating art. On the flip side, I've had female photographer friends who have husbands who they shoot, and the husbands are like, I don't get why you have to take so many photos, or you need to be at home doing this, or you sit on a computer all day and you're not doing anything, because they don't get that like they're working, trying to promote the business, trying to book shoots. And so they people who don't get it, they just see you as sitting in front of the computer, or you just sitting in front of the computer, you're not doing anything, or you're editing pretty pictures of pretty people, not knowing that this is actually real work. Like, I'm getting paid, I'm trying to create content, I'm trying to make money doing this stuff. So again, for me, it helps because my wife is a part of the business. She knows the business. If she wanted to come out, she could come out and shoot too. She doesn't have to be sitting around like this waiting for me to, it's none of that. And that stuff like that can cause tension. It'd be like, he's sitting around here taking pictures of it, and he doesn't look at me like that, or he doesn't take pictures of me. It depends on who you're with, who your spouse is. And these are challenges. I can't say that like this is how you get past it, or this is how you do it. I would just offer to have them come out with you and say, hey, come out with me and hold a reflector, or offer them the ability to come along to the shoot and learn. Because then if they're out there, then they're understanding about like, oh, I get it now, I understand. Whereas if you're somebody who sits on the side and you just watch people do stuff, you start making up your own excuses in your head about why they're doing this and why it doesn't matter, or why it does matter, versus people who are in it and they understand it.
Yeah. So I want to just give a quick acknowledgement. Thank you, James, for the super chat. Thank you, Marco. You didn't submit a question, but you just said supporting the cause. So I appreciate that. Michael Maestro, thank you for the super chat as well. So let's go to the next question. And next question happened to be from James again. So, do the clients have a problem coming to your home to do final sales?
No, because that's the what is the word? That's the that's a standard. I want to say standard. That's the expectation that we set. The expectation that we set is that they come to our house to meet us, to do the shoot, to do the hair and makeup, and they come back to our house to buy the photos. I look at it as this, right? You go to the dentist to get your teeth fixed. If you're hurt, you go to the doctor's office um, to, get medicine. Um, if you need clothes, you go to the store to buy your clothes. So with photography, if you come in to buy images, our house is our office. Our house is the dentist's office. Our house is the doctor's office. Our house is the store that you buy your clothes from. It's the same idea. So people think, oh, you go into somebody's home, like, yeah, this is our office. This is the storefront. If we had an actual office space, that would be the storefront. But because we work out of our home, we are okay with, one, people coming into our house because that's our storefront. That's what we kind of set up. And again, it helps because both of us are involved. If it was just one person, like if I was the type that don't like people and every day I had to deal with people coming in and out of my house, it might cause an issue because I'm like, I want to walk around with my shirt off, with my boxers on, but I can't because random people are coming in my house. But because I get it, I'm a part of the hustle, I'm a part of the struggle. It's a thing that we set up that our home is going to be our storefront. So we have to be able to allow people to come in our house to do their hair and makeup, and our living room and our TV, everything is set up for us to sell photos in this space. Or if you want to set up a side room or a garage or whatever. So, once you set up the expectations, people like if you want this product, this is where you have to come to get it. They're going to do it. Just like you would drive an hour to get, whatever you want. If you want it bad enough, that's kind of what they're going to do for us.
Yeah, so I totally agree. I do it out of my house as well. So DMAC is asking, how do you price books and photos with print companies?
The easiest way is you times it by 3 or 4, whatever the cost is for like large products. So like, for example, like if a book costs me $200, if it costs me, if it at cost, if it's $200, I need to be at least selling the book for $600 to be able to make a product. Because the dumbed down math, and I'm not saying that this is accurate, is 30% is the cost of the product, which is 200. Another 30% is tax, which is 200, and then the other 30% is your profit, which goes back into the business. So on the low end, you want to be at least times in whatever the cost is by 3, and that's without discounts. On the high end, you can multiply it by even more, 4, 5, 8, whatever you want to whatever you can want to mark it up to, what you can sell. When it comes to like stuff like prints and stuff like that, we just charge a base price of like $50 because that's just what we feel like we can get away with charging.
Or
you know what? Like it's perception, right? Like for a 5x7, everybody has different prices for a 5x7. And, some people have calculated math wise. It takes me this long to make it based on this price. So in order for me to make a profit, I need to be charging this much money for a print. We just charge based on what we feel like we can get away with charging. If we can get away with charging $50 and if people will pay it, we're going to charge $50. If nobody ever bought it and we had to charge 25, we'd have to charge 25. We just have to sell more prints. But there is a formula that this guy made where like you take how much money you plan to make for the year times by how many hours you plan to work a week, and then how long it takes you to make a print, and then you divide that, and that's your cost. And you take the cost. It's a long drawn out, and it's probably super super accurate if you're basing it off how much money you want to make per year. But we just say, you know what, $50 for 5x7s, 8x10s, and we know people who charge $100. Like, again, our clients can't afford $100 5x7. We just can't. We know people who can, like we know of, like if we tried to market to certain, we could, but that's not who we want to market to. Our group of people who we sell to is perfect for us.
I created a spreadsheet Wayne had forced me at one point to create like a la carte an a la carte pricing, and that's where you know mark stuff up. And I just basically said, what do I want my margins to be with respect to what this thing costs, and how much money do I want to make? If it's 70% markup, 80% markup, put the formula in the Excel spreadsheet, and boom, that's the price of that product. And that's the simple math that I applied. But yes, I totally agree with everything you just said.
Let me tell you guys, when I worked for Circuit City, we used to get discounts for USB cords or whatever at cost. A USB cord at cost was $3 and some change. Circuit City was charging $30 for a USB cord. I mean, that's probably still what it costs now. These things cost pennies for what they charge you in the actual store. So just know that, like, you know, you feel like, oh, it's a print, like it costs $1 for the print. Don't mean you can't sell it for, you know, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. You can. Because and I don't know if you guys have heard this. I remember Bambi Cantrell. She was like, yeah, this sheet of paper costs $5, but this image of you on this paper, if you want this photo of you on this $5 sheet of paper, that's gonna cost you $50, because this is the image that I created for the sheet of paper. So a lot of people look at it as printers. I'm selling $5 sheets of paper. Yeah, you are if it's a blank sheet of paper, but once you put this photo on it, it becomes valuable, and that's the value that you placed on your image on this $2 print or whatever. If that helps anybody kind of put in perspective.
It definitely does. So I don't think this question is not applicable to what we're talking about, but in the absence of trying to fill this gap while I hunt for the next question, D-Mac was basically asking, what is it? Did you get the D850? I know the answer, but I'm trying to fill the gap here.
I didn't at all. Not yet.
So let me scroll down here. I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions in here. Okay. So here we go. So DJ Images and Film is asking, do you ever shoot with models who charge you, or do you do TFPs with models?
So I've never really shot real models. I just shoot regular people. And that's one of the things I have to realize about myself when I see other people's work. I'm like, man, their work is really good, but they have like, they're shooting with professional models who are really good in front of the camera, and these shoots are styled. And so these are people who know how to make cool images. Whereas like I'm dealing with people where it's a little more me, like I have to do more directing, I have to do more work in creating the image and the type of picture I want. Like for example, like when I shot Rachel, at her house and stuff, like it's her first time being on camera. So I had to do way more work with making sure to pose her and making sure she looked good, and to just put together an outfit for the photos or what looked good. When I shot the last girl on my G7, like it was her first time. So it was like, okay, I have to be more involved in even just the posing as well as kind of figuring out the composition. Whereas if I shot with a professional model and she just knows how to move, it'd be a lot easier for me to do that. But with that being said, a lot of really good models are signed to agencies and you have to go through that whole thing. And I haven't gone through that. So most of the stuff I do is with regular people because it's easier. They're way more available, and it's always time for pictures because what time for me, for YouTube, I have more control over what I want to do and what I want to see. Because somebody had asked, like, do you do when people pay you? When somebody pays me, I'm on their time. Like, this is for them. Like, I have to do what their vision is. But when I do shoots for fun, now it's up to me. Now I get more control over, no, I don't want that. I want you to wear this instead. Or maybe it's a collaboration. Like, what do you think looks good? Or I want to shoot here because this is what I like. So I have more control over it when it's me that's directing the shoot, and they're benefiting by getting free photos. Whereas if somebody's like, I'm going to pay you to shoot me, it's less control. I have to do what they ask for and deliver a product. Mm-hmm. Whereas for YouTube, I get to experiment and do stuff for fun and practice and try out new things. But no, I haven't shot, like, I haven't paid anybody to shoot yet.
Yeah. I think
I'd rather pay for a lens. I'd rather spend the money on renting a lens and paying for a lens and getting somebody to shoot for free than paying somebody to shoot to take pictures,
yeah.
at least now.
Yeah. So Brandon Joplin is asking, Ike, how do you usually respond to people who ask you to shoot, but you have no desire or ideas to shoot them, especially if they have no prior modeling work on their social media?
That's tough, because I get people. This is one of my pet peeves now with filters is like I've gotten some people who want me to shoot them like, oh, can I shoot? And I'm like, well, what do you look like? And I go to their Instagram and every other photo is a filter with the hearts on the head or a dog filter. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know what's possible with you if I can't tell what you actually look like or what's possible? And again, this goes back to the whole like seeing something or feeling it to know what value it is, as opposed to coming up when you hear, like I talked about the house hunters and how somebody can take a dump and flip it into a really nice house, and now you can already see the vision. Again, that's hard for me. So I can't see somebody's like
Potential.
Instagram page, and if they just have regular clothes on, if they look like, I have to see them on a really good way, in a really good way, for me to be like, oh, now I see what's possible. Because if you just look regular on your Instagram and you don't look very appealing, it's hard for me to kind of flip you into something nice. I'm like, oh, this is what you have to offer. I don't know what to do with you. But if I see some really nice photos of you without filters, so I can see what you really look like, it's easier for me to kind of come up with a vision or a game plan for what I want to do for you. So with that being said, I've had people ask to shoot, and I'm like, yeah, one day we'll get together, or just I'll throw up I'm just really busy. So I keep pushing stuff back. Like, it's hard for me to say no. Or if it depends. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I charge this much for. I just throw up my rates. Like, if you want to shoot, this is how much I charge. What's your budget? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's your budget? Then but if it's somebody that I really want to shoot, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, I got some ideas, or like I have a list of shoots I want to do. I'm like, oh, you'd be perfect for this shoot that I want to do, type of thing.
Yeah, I laugh because I have stories of my own. But we're gonna move on. So Marco is saying, so I'm gonna go back to your question, D Mac. I'm not skipping over your question, but I just want to point out because it's relevant. So Marco was saying, it's not a question, it's more of a comment that he was making. Marco is saying, working with models is very easy. Contact the agency, but you need a good portfolio which targets the specific look you need models for. Agency will ask you what style of shoot and other details. So I totally agree with that. I worked with a modeling agency recently, which was my first time ever working with a modeling agency. And you're right. You just have to, show your work and be professional.
Yeah, I'm just not that organized or that well together to even put forth a plan for an agency. So this is where, like, the benefit of, like, let's say if Tosh was into it, she'd be good at that.
Yeah,
She'd
sure.
be able to contact them and put stuff together. For me, I'm just like, what you doing next Tuesday? Can you come out? Like, I'm sending direct messages. Hey, are you available on Friday? I got an idea. Like, that's where I suck.
So DMAC, his question / comment is asking, talk about contracts. Are you putting them together for clients?
Yes, we have contracts that we put that we have, like, a model release for people. So, because, like, for example, like when we take pictures, we have our kids, either the parents or them sign model releases, so that way we can post them online so that there's no issues. And we have our wedding contracts. What we do, well, model releases, wedding contracts, and just like, I can't think of any other contracts that we have besides our model release. Just our model release, a receipt. We give people a receipt for the stuff that they buy from us, and then we have our wedding contracts. Those are the only contracts that we have.
Do you recommend people, since we talk about contracts, do you recommend folks go out there to actually get, instead of getting like a template, because I know a lot of these photographers offers template contracts? Do you recommend getting a template contract or going to a lawyer and actually getting the lawyer to draft it up?
Well, so it's funny. We have a friend. Her name is Rachel Brinky, and she calls herself the Law Tog, and she is a lawyer or was a lawyer. Now she's a photographer. So we got her advice on our contracts. So she's kind of a lawyer and a photographer. But it just really depends on your where you live and how like high profile, because sometimes a template contract is enough depending on your state and where you live at. Like, oh, this worked well for my state. And really, like, everything's cool until you run into an issue. So if you don't ever run into any issues, just having a contract that says like, please don't sue me is good enough until you create a problem. So as well as having a contract, it's just making sure that you are dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and even still, you may come to a point where like the contract will come into play. Like, well, I have a contract, but from a customer service and a business standpoint, some things ain't worth it. So it's like, and the contract says it comes with this, that, and the third, but the client is like being, the client's being difficult, and so you could stand by your contract and say, well, I'm not doing it because you signed a contract, or you can just give them what they want and just be, not a hard ass, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know if I answered that properly, but that's just my advice on that, because, they say that the client is always right. And I kind of agree with that in a sense of where the client they're not always right, but that's just kind of a dumbing down of like, you want to make it so that the client ends up being happy, because it's almost not really worth it to fight people on stuff. Just let them have it and just move on to the next one,
Yeah. I would definitely say this, and it's in line with what you're saying. Definitely have, whether it's a model, whether it's a regular person, whether it's your client, definitely have them sign a contract. Like every single model that I have on my YouTube videos, all of them sign model releases. Any client that we work with, all of them sign contracts. And to your point, if there was an issue where there was a problem, like multiple clients has come back to me in the past and say, hey, could you take down my images from my website because we got divorced, and I was like, or, I took these maternity pictures of someone and they said, look, I'm now transitioning into different business space and I can't have these pictures out there. And all my contracts, I could do whatever I want with these images, and I can always come back to them and say, you know what, screw you. No, I'm just leaving it right there. I don't have to remove it. But just like you said, you just have to not be a hard ass and just say, okay, you know what, I'm just going to remove those images and thank you for allowing me to, provide services to you however long ago it was.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. Like, don't be difficult, because that's just bad karma. Like, you don't want that kind of energy surrounding you or your business to be like, oh, well, they want to try to get me to take the pictures down, and they sign a contract. Like, no, just take it down. Just find a new one. Find somebody else. The contract helps, because if they just come out of left field and want to
protects you for the most part.
Yeah, they want to take you to court without telling you, like, oh, now I have a contract. Now I'm safe from any kind of legal battles. But the contract, you always want it to be like plan B or C. Like, you don't ever want that to be your first line of defense. You want to always try to at least talk it out with the person or figure out to come into an agreement before you even get to the paperwork, because it's just way less of a headache.
I agree.
Nobody wins when the family feuds, like Jay-Z.
I agree. So Randy is asking, I'm not sure if this is a question for you or for me, but I would assume it's for you. So Randy is asking here, I notice on a lot of your YouTube videos, the backgrounds that you choose, do you scout the location or have something in mind when a client approach you with a shoot? How do you choose this?
For our regular work, we typically we'll have stuff in mind. Like, we typically shoot around where we live, and because I've been shooting for so long, and this is the benefit of like knowing how to work before you start like charging and stuff. Like, because we live in the area that we shoot in and we've been shooting for so long, um, I can know off the top of my head where to shoot when somebody comes with a certain look. Like, oh, I want to do like a springy field, like nature look. Well, because I've done photography for so long, I know exactly where to take this person, where the shoot would work well, because I've shot there before. As opposed to saying, oh, I want a springy nature, woods look. Now I have to go find some nature woods. Like, I already know where these locations are because I know my area. So for me, it helps just knowing the area that I shoot in and having a consistent theme along my photos and not being crazy. So and I guess it would come down to, like, let's say you own like a studio. Whoever shoots in the studio, that's their scene. So they already know it's going to be in the studio. I'm going to pick this color backdrop, or I'm going to use a white backdrop. For me, Tacoma is my studio. So this part of Tacoma is going to be my nature backdrop. This part of Tacoma is going to be my city backdrop, and vice versa. And so really the challenge for me comes in to try to keep things fresh and new. I could go to the same spots every time and pump out consistent work, but it gets boring. So for me, it's just trying to be challenging, create new ideas, new places, new spaces. That's really where my challenge comes in.
Yeah, I totally agree. Outdoors inspire me. I am not a studio type guy, but outdoors inspire me. So this is a comment from Marco about the contracts, and I wanted to highlight it because it's a great point. And I do have it in my contract, and I'm probably sure you have it in your contract as well. A key point on contracts: make sure you have a line that states that they can't sue you for more than what they paid you. Bottom line, if they paid $300, they can't come back and sue you for $1 million. So make sure you limit your liability as far as your contract is concerned. So make sure you have those that properly worded in there, and make sure you sit down with a lawyer. It's very, very important. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not gonna pretend to give you any legal advices. So go out there and get a lawyer and have them review your contracts, because they could come up with different, they did this so many times that they have canned languages in different scenarios that's already baked into a lot of their contracts that they have, and they would just simply carve out those languages and make sure that it's in your contract, because all of these languages that these lawyers come up with is based off of scenarios that already happened in the past, and then basically stuff that they think that may happen in the future, and they craft out those languages and put it in a contract. So when you're looking at a contract, it's just basically variations of a whole bunch of scenarios to help to protect you as the person that's initiating the contract. So if you can't think of all those scenarios because you don't have that experience, you need to go speak to a lawyer. And
that's correct. That is very true. Even in our contract with our wedding, like, we have it to where we let people know that, like, our photography is a creative field, and that, like, we can guarantee like good work, but that they can't get mad at us and ask for their money back if our work doesn't look like how it looked 5 years ago. So they can't be like, I tell them it's a trust factor. You have to trust that, like, I'm going to pump out consistent work, so your pictures are not going to look any worse than the last wedding I shot, or wedding before that. They could look better, because the idea is to always, be better than your last job. But I tell my wedding clients that, hey, in the contract it says that, like, granted, it's artistic vision, and so based on what you get, you can't be mad if you get back something that you didn't think that you thought that you think you were going to get. Like, if it doesn't look like how you envisioned it. My artistic vision may be different from your final output, but that comes back to trusting that you hired us based on the work that you've seen, and that we're going to give a consistent product. And so that you should know that, like, if you hire me, I'm not going to do some crazy, like, cross-processing, tie-dye color wedding album for you. And you're like, what happened? Like, the last couple, jobs were like true color, natural black and white, and this next one is like pink tones and gray skies and blue. Like, you have to trust that I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that for you. But for any particular reason, if I try to change up my style slightly, in the contract it says that, like, look, my artistic vision, I can't remember
You have full
actual
control
wording,
of
but
your
like
of
I'm
creative.
free to kind of do a little, switch it up a little bit if I feel like it'll be best for the artistic vision. But you also have to trust that I'm not gonna make you look crazy.
Yeah, you have full creative rights.
Mhm.
Behind the focus, D Jackson is asking us, I guess both of us, but you go first. Who inspired you guys? I started and studied on YouTube. So his question is, who inspired you?
For me, who inspires me are photographers. I remember, like, when I first started, I looked up to people like uh, Jerry Guionis. Um, Dang it, I can't think of his name.
You want me to go? I'll go, and then you come up with your names.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I did a video on this already, so I have it all in the back of my head. So, the people that inspired me, and it's all for different reasons, right? So, the very first person that I saw when I got into photography, the very first person that inspired me was a person by the name of Jeremy Cowart. And Jeremy Cowart is a fashion photographer, a celebrity. Well, he's a celebrity photographer for the most part. I loved his style. He's not a posing guy. He doesn't pose people at all. He just basically have a very, very, very creative eye, and I love that about his photography. And when I got into it, that's what inspired me to say, okay, that's what I want to do as a photographer. And he was the one that also said, okay, well, not said to me, but basically I realized that he was using a certain gear, which was a Canon 5D Mark II at the time, and he was using like a 24-70 lens. And I was like, you know what? That's the lens I need. That's the camera and lens I need to get to make sure that my pictures look as awesome as his. And obviously, you know how that goes. You buy something and it doesn't look that way at all. But it was an inspiration. He did got me into the game and basically allowed me I had to learn a lot before I get to his level. I'm not even at his level, but that was one aspect of it. Then also, like Ike said, Jeremy Guionis. Jeremy Guionis basically gave me the permission to say, hey, you can pose people. You can, move them from here to there. You can pose everything from the top of their head to the bottom of their toe and be okay about it. So he gave me that permission to do so. Not that I have ever spoken to him about it. It's just I just followed his stuff and I realized that's what he does. He controls every single aspect of everything that goes in front of his lens. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's what I need to do. And then also Sal Sincata inspired me from a business perspective. I really, really, and I think a lot of photographers that I speak to always say the same thing about Sal. His style of photography is not my bread and butter. I mean, he goes for big and go for grand images. He calls those epic images. So that's not really my style of photography, but I really, really, not that there's anything wrong with his photography. He does some phenomenal stuff. He gets awards, all this stuff. I'm not going to get into the award thing because that was a whole different story. But
right, yeah, let's leave that one alone.
Let's leave that one alone, right?
Yeah.
His business aspect, I mean, this guy is a monster when it comes to the business world. So from that perspective, I really, really follow and I really learn a lot from him from a business perspective. And then lastly, I cannot pronounce his last name, but I may butcher it. His name is Cliff
Cliff Martiner, yeah.
You know him, right? So Cliff, now Cliff
and Susan.
Yes. So Cliff basically, he's not a posing guy either, but he does a lot of weddings, and I got aware of him by looking at Kelby 1, which is what I think they were called Kelby Training back in the day, but it's Kelby 1, and I was watching a lot of his videos on Kelby 1 and how this guy was operating with weddings, and And that basically said to me, oh man, okay, this is how you could do these weddings so easily. He showed me step by step, like how you could do it. Like I never really had like an official wedding, so I don't know how, the whole ceremony and all that reception stuff goes. So when I was watching him, he just basically schooled me on all of that stuff. So those are the four people that inspired me and why they inspired me. So go ahead, Ike. I'm thinking you got your names now.
Yeah, I typed them up and put them in the chat so people can see it. Whoever want to like screen capture or you might want to like copy and paste it and Google them. Excuse me. I'm inspired by a lot of different people and a lot of different things, but over time, like Joe Busink, James reminded me of Joe Busink. I actually did a class with him in Creative Live, so I was part of his class. He's actually a really cool photographer. I just like how he approaches things and how he's very simple with how he likes to create images. So that is inspiring, and his work is like flawless and timeless. And I like timeless work, like classic timeless work. I don't like a whole lot of different like tones and filters and stuff. Like I like my work to be clear and clean, but with some crunches and pops. So that's my basis. Joe Busink, Jim Garner, he's local. He's from the Seattle area. He actually made big money. So he was inspiring on a business level, and as a character, he's a really fun character. He has a YouTube channel. I think it's called Jim Garner Photos, but it's not active. Like he stopped posting, but he made like this fake thing called The Office, where like it was kind of like The Office, but it was with his office. It was actually really funny. So he did that, but me and my wife, we met him in our early days, and he was one that told us about QuickBooks. We didn't understand at the time. Now we get it. But he was like, yeah, QuickBooks. But yeah, Jim Garner, he's really big. I think he does like fashion photography now. I don't know if he even does weddings, but back in the day, he was big in the wedding circuit and in the WPPIs. Like he was a speaker. Joshua Dwayne, which is one of the first black photographers that I found who was doing really good work in the portrait wedding industry. Of course, like if you know like portraits, you probably have heard of I forget his name, but he's a bald-headed guy. He's black, and he does like fashion.
Michael. I know him. I'll get his name. Go ahead. I know who you're talking about.
So he does like fashion stuff, and I was like, eh. But when I found Joshua Dwayne, I was like, oh, this guy's black, and he's creating like really great images of black people, and they're really good. They're really like quality images who it's showing us in a great light. And before that, I had only saw pictures of white people or Caucasian or Asians that were really good. I never really saw any great pictures of black people like that until I found his work. And I was like, oh, wow, this stuff is really good. And this goes back to my point about what we talked about yesterday, Ernesto, is being in the industry. Because there are a lot of photographers out there who are creating great work, but they're like in some corner somewhere who you never know about. And when I was learning photography and I was trying to figure out who's who, you get a book, right? You get the magazine that says the greatest photographers, and you look through and like, okay, these are the who's. This is what I should aspire to be. You rarely see anybody black in that book. And so when I was a part of some messages, I was a part of the Pictage. Pictage is old school too. If anybody knows about Pictage, he was in one of the forums, and I ended up, clicking on his work, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's really good. So his work was really inspiring, and it still is to this day. He's a friend. He actually just started a YouTube channel. So Joshua Dwayne, he has a YouTube channel. Sam Hurd, he's like brilliant. The way he shoots weddings and portraits is just brilliant. How he creates photos, it's amazing. So Sam Hurd is inspiring in a creative aspect. Andrew Kearns is inspiring. He also has a YouTube channel too. I just like how he creates images, his like process, how he shoots. The last vlog that I did in the hot springs was inspired by him. Like he did the exact same thing. He went there, did a shoot there. So I went and searched it out and found the spot, and I just made my vlog. So that will be up soon. So anybody who saw my little hot springs teaser trailer, that whole shoot was inspired by him doing that exact same thing. Ken Pack, he's a wedding photographer. He's really good at shooting weddings. He's super creative, and anybody in the field is photographers. Like if you look up Fearless Photography, because I love wedding photography and storytelling and photojournalism, that style of photography is super inspiring to me. And the Fearless photographers, like if you make that list or if you make those awards, you're like creating the best of the best when it comes to storytelling and wedding photography. So all of those that type of photography inspires me a lot, and I love moments and that's why I love weddings because I like just capturing moments.
Yeah.
Portraits is a secondary thing for me, which I'm getting more and more into. But like weddings is first and foremost where I'm mostly attracted to.
Yeah. So James is actually Matthew Jordan Smith is the guy, not Michael. So it's Matthew Jordan Smith, and yes, he does have a seminar tomorrow. So he's talking about all how to make money in photography. So if you guys don't know Matthew Jordan Smith, you should know him. He's a celebrity photographer. Go check him out.
And I met him at WP my first year at WPI. I met him. I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I took a photo with him, and I was so happy. The picture, you might think I was mad or sad, but I was actually happy. But as guys, we gotta take a picture. But I should have smiled. I was so happy to meet the guy, and but the photo will make you think I was like on punishment or something.
Put you in timeout.
Yeah.
So DMAC is saying you guys should both do this again and then go live after and do a shoot on a specific topic. ESP first because you're on the East Coast, then Ike. So Ike and I had a very long conversation yesterday about this, and Ike is like, well, traveling out to North Carolina is a haul, and I could say the same thing. Traveling out to Seattle? Not Seattle. Is it Seattle? Tacoma?
Tacoma, Seattle, sorry, 30-minute difference.
So I was like, yeah, same thing. So we started talking about WPPI, right? And so I was telling Ike, and you guys all may already know this already, is like I don't like to congregate in such a large venue. I don't like to do that. But Ike was telling me that I need to think about it differently. Right, and he was giving me, I won't break down exactly what he was telling me, but he told me basically just think about it differently. And the points that he highlighted, really resonated with me. And for that, I said, you know what, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about if I'm going to go to WPPI. And I said, if I do go to WPPI, by the way, Ike is going to WPPI. He already has a ticket locked in. He's ready to go, registered, all that good stuff. So I said I was going to think about it. So I thought about it, and I think I will go to WPPI. And when we go to WPPI, I said, look, if I do go to WPPI, we probably should just do like a meetup. We haven't worked out the details yet, obviously.
We haven't.
But we probably should do like a meetup. So that being said, look forward to some more announcements on that soon, because obviously I have to talk to Ike about it and make some, because he has to help me out with this thing, because I know nothing about WPPI. I will feel a little bit lost. So I got to make sure I got all my tickets right. I buy the right thing. I'm not wasting money and all that good stuff. So I'll talk to Ike about it after.
Yeah, I can show you who to talk to, who not to talk to, what to see, what not to see. I've been going to WPI for like the past 7-8 years. So trust me, I know my way around.
Yeah. So guys, if you are going to WPBI, stay tuned for that because we're going to have some announcements around that. Other thing here, what is it? Some of the worst clients to deal with to celeb. Oh, okay. So here's another question. This one is from Michael Mistro Pierce. Some of the worst clients to deal with are celebrities. What are your take on dealing with them? Do you charge them? Is it free? If so, why?
I've never dealt with celebrities. That's something exclusive to Michael because he's like the celebrity photographer. I'm still trying to get him to get me to second shoot one of his weddings so I can sneak and vlog and ruin the reputation trying to vlog a celebrity wedding. No, I guess I've never worked with any any sort. I don't know. Like I've done some work for a few people with some status for like just for the opportunity to work with them, and some celebrities I've worked with and I've charged them like um I don't know if you guys follow the fitness world or if you're into like fitness like the Mr. Olympia stuff like that, but Phil Heath. He like is like he's like the reigning Mr. Olympia champion for the past like 4 or 5 years. I shot his family, but his sister booked the shoot. And he's not a real celebrity, but if you're in the fitness world, Phil Heath is he's the top dog. And I shot his family. He was really cool. What other celebrity have I dealt with? I can't think of anybody that I worked for.
Yeah, I haven't worked with any celebrities, so I don't have any comment on that.
Not really. Like everybody that I would work with, so for me, my philosophy, just in general, is I either have to be getting something out of it, like I either have to be getting paid the proper amount of money to make it worth my while, or it has to be an opportunity that is too good to pass up. Um, right before this live stream, I had just happened to catch a video by another guy who he does like videos and photos. And he said he got his start because he would shoot bands and then he would offer to give the bands the rights to the video. All he asked for is that they like tag them in the video, and then all of a sudden he got like a call, like he went on tour with this band or whatever, and he ended up getting a call to do like a Tonight Show or something, and Usher was there. He ended up like connecting with Usher, and so then like he did a video for Usher, then Usher like had him come back, and then he just kept building and building. So things like that where like I have an opportunity to work with somebody to say get my name out there. I don't necessarily agree with whole working for exposure because sometimes that's like crap. It's not worth it at all. But I feel like if it's the proper opportunity to where you can network, like if somebody was like, if Oprah was like, hey, I'm having a ball. Hold up. What do you need? No, go. The
Hey,
garbage is.
James, it's in
Sorry.
Vegas.
Go ahead. Close the
WPPI is
door.
in Vegas. Yeah, we have more announcements on that, James. But if you're gonna come out,
Sorry, my daughter.
no
Um,
worries.
let's say Oprah had an event and she wanted me to shoot the event for free, and I couldn't. She wasn't going to pay me. For me, the only reason I would shoot the event is if I could come with business cards and promote my business there to hopefully book other clients to actually hire me to shoot their real events. That's the benefit of me even considering doing something like that for free. Um, I do the photo. I've done the photos for the Go Red campaign, which is like a American Heart Association here. Like I did it I do them for free, just as volunteer work. But from that, one of the ladies who was a part of the campaign or part of the staff or whatever is getting married next year. So she just booked me to shoot her wedding. So we're like in talks of signing a contract. So like you can get work from doing stuff for free. Don't believe that like, people say, oh, don't work for free, it's not worth it. No, if you know how to market, if you can position yourself the right way, you can get work from doing stuff for free or from people of influence if you know how to finesse the situation the right way. But if not, sometimes it can just come off as like a waste of time. And there's a learning experience in everything.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, I don't do a whole lot of celebrity
celebrities.
work. That's more Michael Mistro's.
I would say this. I covered a very, very large event for like 3 years. And people probably would say, why would you cover this very large event for like 3 years and not get paid for it? And it was a lot of work because I was there sometimes like from 8 in the morning to about like 10 o'clock at the night, right? Just covering this event every year, right? Well, not every year, for the past 3 years. And then, in the fourth year, they approached me and like, look, you do an awesome job every year. You shoot the images and you deliver it like immediately the night of or immediately the day after. And like, you do such an awesome job. Let's talk contract. Let's talk about, paying you, right? And it was an easy conversation to have as far as, payment
Mm-hmm.
from them, because they understood the value of what they were getting. And from that, we got like more and more projects out of that, because it was a great networking event, and we made great connections. So I guess the point is here, if I had to work with a celebrity, I would look at what that celebrity has to offer, because that
Mm-hmm.
event is a large event, and the possibility of connecting with a whole bunch of people. That was the opportunity that I was going after. So I made some great connections there. I didn't take advantage of all of it, but I did make great connections there. But if a celebrity came to me, I would say it depends on if they're A, B, or C celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
But if they came to me and say, "Hey, I want you to do a shoot for me, whatever that shoot is," if that shoot doesn't cost me money, obviously I'll do it right away. But if it's just a shoot that I need to do for them, just to capture a portrait or whatever, I'll do it right away for them. If it's like a celebrity or whatever, I'll do it for them, because that reach, the potential of having my name attached to that celebrity and his
Mm-hmm.
network, or his or her network, is more valuable to me than getting $1,000 from him or $2,000 from him. Because if I do get that,
Exactly.
if I do get that, he's not.
Gary Vee had said this. Gary Vaynerchuk had made this point. Like, he was like, what if a company offered to send you like a product for free to review? And they're like, yeah, we'll give you this camera if you review it for free for us. We just need you to make a video. And his thought process was like, well, what if instead of you saying, hey, you know what? How about this? How about you send me the camera to review and I'll do the review for free and I'll give you the camera back, but instead create a relationship where like you send me products on a regular to review and give me exclusive access to certain things, trying to like, instead of like trying to get a check, from one job or like a quick buck, trying to create like a relationship with somebody. Because you're right, like with this certain people, it goes back to the perception, like I talked about with the church, like doing certain things for certain people, where it's like, oh, you shot so and so, you must be really good. Because again, if you're good enough for them, you're definitely going to be good enough for me. So it's like, oh, if your name is attached to a certain person or a certain event or a certain thing, you may not make any money from that per se, but having being tied to that allows you to go into other places saying, I've worked with this person, I've worked with that person, I've worked with this event. It kind of builds your status of like things you've done. And again, like, photography is very much networking. And people will say that they've done this and that. I think a lot, I don't know for a fact, I just know from experience that like a lot of people will say they've done this, that, and the third, and may not say or be wholly truthful about how much they've gotten paid for certain events, or if they've done stuff for free. They will just show you these pretty pictures of these nice events and these cool things that they've done, not telling you that they had to charge half their rate or they didn't get paid very much, but the opportunity that they got from that shoot or that event or the pictures that they were able to create were able to allow them to then charge a lot of money for other people. Um, I'm a little more upfront about that kind of stuff. Like if I did something for free and I didn't charge as much, but this is what I would tell you. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of that stuff happens, but people want to keep a perception or keep face value of they're the one who gets these jobs and they charge millions of dollars, and it's just not true. Like everybody, what it's like stores, like how Nordstrom has a sale every year. They have like a half yearly sale. Photographers have sales too. They throw out discounts for who they want to throw out discounts for, or charge less for this person, for the opportunity. Like I don't believe that like everybody's out here making buku bucks and not bending a little bit or not breaking the rules or not doing favors. I don't believe that.
Yeah. So this is just a quick comment, not a question, but DMAC is saying now, as far as going off of the question of who inspire you, DMAC was just saying nowadays is both of you guys, meaning you and I, and Keedron, Brandon Cole, and the angry photographer with his wealth of knowledge. So that's just a commentary from DMAC. Let's see here. What other questions we have here? When are you coming? Oh, there's a question for me from Matthew. When are you coming out to New York City? I miss you at the other meetup. Actually, I was in New York last week, which is why there was no Monday live broadcast. But I do come out to New York very often. So, you know, every time you look around, maybe I'm in New York, but I'll let you. If I'm doing a meetup in New York specifically, I'll let you know. Most of the time I'm out in New York is for business. So, yeah, I'll let you know if I'm doing a meetup specifically out in New York. So, what else do we have here? Ike, have you shot pictures with the G7 yet?
I took like one or two, but I have a kit lens that I haven't really bought because I bought it for video. But I plan to upgrade to the G85, and when I upgrade to the G85, then I'll like look into getting some lenses for video, and I might do a shoot or two with it. But
okay,
probably, you know, don't think I'm gonna switch to Micro Four Thirds. Not for the no, sorry, not gonna happen. I love full frame, but if you see a video with a G7 shoot, don't be surprised.
Why not?
Don't be surprised if I knock out a few videos with it. But you know, is it becoming my main? No, not at all.
James DMAC is saying, James, my ticket costs $67 round trip. Okay, I'm gonna come to you, DMAC, for that awesome deal for $67 because that's what I want for a ticket out to Vegas at this last minute.
Vegas is easy. Vegas is one of the cheaper places to get to because they do so many flights there. So you'll probably be able to find a ticket to Vegas for cheap because it's just so much. You know, it's a big airport terminal, whatever.
Okay. So James is saying, when you shoot weddings, hey James, by the way, big up to you for asking all these questions because this is very informative for everyone. So big up to you, man. So James is saying, when you shoot weddings, both, do you shoot RAW and JPEG? Please, no arguments. I shoot RAW, but thinking of doing both.
You know, I've been in situations. Most of the time, I shoot RAW. I shoot RAW the entire wedding. Sometimes I'll shoot RAW and JPEG. Although, like, that's me being extra. Like when I shot with the A9, I shot RAW to one card slot and JPEG to the other card slot because that's the only way you can do it. But typically, depending on how much space I need and all that. But I'm not against shooting JPEG at all. Like I feel like JPEG for these new cameras, JPEG is fine if you are good, especially if you shoot mirrorless. Like you shouldn't have any. There should be a question about your exposures if you shoot JPEG, because with mirrorless, you should be able to be within a stop of the correct exposure. If you shoot JPEG with mirrorless, because you can see what you're getting. With DSLRs, I can see you make, because I've made a few mistakes and like, I overexposed it. Good thing I shot RAW. RAW is an insurance policy most of the time. It's not necessarily anything that I'm using to get the optimal picture quality. It's more of I'm just shooting RAW just in case, and I have a little more room to flex when I'm editing the photos. But I shoot RAW and JPEG, and I end up editing the RAW photos and giving them the RAWs. But if I needed to use the JPEGs, I remember one time, this was years ago, I think like I was running out of memory card space, and I was like, crap, I got to switch to JPEG to save space to get a few more images out of the reception, especially for the reception, because it's like kind of just a bunch of throwaway. It's just a bunch of dancing photos. I'm like, I don't need to be shooting RAW if my exposure is good on these dancing pictures. Yeah. But yeah, for weddings, I shoot RAW, or I'll shoot RAW and JPEG as a backup. Like, so in case one memory card dies, I'll shoot RAW to one and JPEG to the other.
Yeah.
I've had an experience. I've had a situation where I shot a wedding, got home, finally went to editing the photos, and couldn't find half of the wedding, and had to try to do some kind of recovery software, and lost half of a wedding.
Wow. I wouldn't want to be in that experience.
My camera this was a D700 that had one card slot, and we were switching out the cards, and then either I didn't. I think it might have been a situation where I forgot to like transfer all of the files from the card to the thing, and we went to do another shoot, and so we shot over it and formatted the card, and then went to go look for find the photos and couldn't find them.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we had to come. Imagine having to tell a client, "Oh yeah, find half your." Now it was we were two photographers, so like we didn't lose the entire wedding. There were just a bunch of shots that got. It was like some bridal shots and part of the ceremony, But I had the reception, like I had a bunch of other stuff, so it wasn't like I lost a whole. It was just like like a good
lesson
like maybe
learned.
30%.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
So Randy. Oh, so this is not really. I guess it's a question. Randy is saying, "You in North Carolina?" Yes, I'm in North Carolina, specifically Cary. If you don't know Cary, the Raleigh area, or RTP as it's known as well. So Andrea. I'm not going to pronounce your last name now so you could give me grief. But if you don't know, Andrea's amazing makeup artist, hairstylist, photographer. So she is asking, and Andrea, I think you're just joining us. So we answered this question already, which was, what contracts do you have people sign if you do TFP? And the answer is model release. That's what I have them sign. Behind the shot. Oh, that's not a question. So Marvina Welch is saying, this is a great learning experience and everything. Great information. I'm happy it's helping and is giving you great information. Thank you, Ike, to all the info that he's given out. David Riles is saying, Ernesto, thank you for doing the posing video. Well, thank you for watching, first of all. Thank you for the support. And then Michael is saying, thanks, guys. So he's getting is getting information from this as well. Okay, so DBG is saying, Ernesto, when are you doing a meetup at NC? Probably when it gets a little bit warmer. Not at this time, but when it gets a little bit warmer for sure. Marvina Welsh is saying, what is the problem when some of your raw files turn distorted? Has this happened? Hasn't happened to me.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
I guess when you say distorted, I mean corrupted. I never had a raw file go corrupted on me yet. Knocking on wood. Hopefully that never happens to me. But I have heard stories of that happening. So it is a fact, but it just hasn't happened to me yet, and I'm hoping that it never will. So
Michael said it happened to me yesterday. Michael, did you lose? You lost like half of the footage? See, that's the thing with video. You can only record to one card. So now here's the thing, right? I'm pretty good at getting my stuff right in camera. If I'm shooting and my stuff is wrong and I know I can fix it in Photoshop, I don't let it fly. I correct it and then I start shooting again. So you know how some people are like, oh, I'll just fix it later. I'm over, but I know I can. No, I fix it right then and there. So the reason I shoot RAW to one card and JPEG to the other, because the JPEG is my insurance policy. If my RAW file card gets corrupted, I at least have the JPEGs and I at least shoot good enough to where my JPEG is going to be fine. Just especially, again, goes back to the beginning of the stream. I said most people can't tell the difference between good and great. They really can't. So if I shot a whole wedding in JPEG and put a little filter on it, the people wouldn't know. They would have no idea. They wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And most of you guys can't tell the difference if a picture was shot in JPEG and RAW. All you know is the end result. So it doesn't really matter as long as you get the results. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. So James is asking here, I guess it's a tongue-in-cheek question. It's not a real question. When is the Hot Springs video coming out, Ike?
So I was talking to Ernesto about it. That intro, that trailer that I did to try to market this live stream, that's what that was for. I don't normally put out trailers. I've never put out a trailer. That was an excuse to, A, show some of the footage, and B, to market to this for this live stream, which hopefully it worked. And I'm working on the video. I'll probably try to space my videos out because I'm just trying to relax a little bit and not trying to spend much time. Because again, between the business of my everyday photography and trying to run this YouTube page, I'd be in front of this computer all day long. And if I wasn't in front of this computer all day long, I'd be out trying to create content. So like I have to try to like figure out a system. And when you do vlogs, I try to like edit stuff in a creative way, and then I have to edit the photos as well. So like, it's a lot of late nights sitting in front of this computer all day long to try to get out content for YouTube. But I'm just trying to build. So I'm trying to build to a point where like it's a lot easier later on in life. But to answer your question, hopefully I'm trying to get it out by Friday. Because today's Monday, and then I kind of got like, for me with videos, once I figure out the structure, like how, because you record a bunch of footage, and I'm like, okay, I got a bunch of footage. How do I put this together to make a cohesive story if I'm trying to tell a story? If I'm like, here's how to shoot natural light, that's a lot easier for me to make a video than putting together a vlog per se of telling a story from beginning to end. And so, like, for example, that G7 vlog, I'm shooting the girl and we shot in the pink and the blue outfit. And then we stopped shooting, and then like we went to the house, and I ended up doing some stuff around the house, but I didn't have a proper closeout video. So if you notice, you're looking at the video, then it just cuts to the end because I didn't have anything to finish out the story. Whereas like if you saw the Rachel vlog, I had a beginning, I had a middle. It switched to us being in her home, and then I had an ending to it. She paid me some money. I said goodbye. That to me is a full beginning to end story that I had to put together. The one I did with the girl with the G7 was kind of like, I don't have an ending. I just have to cut to the end. With this Panasonic G7 vlog, again, I'm trying to up my production value. So I'm trying to be a little more thoughtful of how I edit stuff and add a little more quality to the videos. Editing in 4K takes a little more time because it's a little more taxing on my computer. The trailer that I made took me like a few hours just to make that 30 seconds. It took me hours because I was trying to find the right clips to put together to the music. It took me forever just to make that. But once I got that and I figured out a structure, it's good. So I have so I could essentially have it done in the next couple of days. Like it'd probably be done by Wednesday if I wanted to, but I just bought a ticket to see Star Wars tomorrow, so I'm gonna go see Star Wars.
Well, you heard it.
So that 3 hours I could be working on that video is gonna be used.
Well, you heard it. You heard it first here, guys. Wednesday. It's Wednesday, coming out Wednesday.
I'm not guaranteeing. It might be a Friday release. Hey Tosh, say hi to.
Tosh is gonna say hi. She's gonna say hi. What's up, Tosh?
They know what time it is.
They don't know what time it is.
That's really in charge.
Any inside tips, Tosh?
I want to tell people they had questions about how you feel about me shooting females for YouTube. So you want to give your take on that?
That face. That's all she has to say. That's all she got to say.
She got nothing to say, guys.
I personally don't have an issue with it. How it impacts our brands, I'm not super excited about, because I think people feel like we're conflicted, and they feel like I'm doing all this stuff that promotes and empowers girls, and you're doing all this stuff that generally.
Yeah.
The face.
So there you have it.
Yeah,
so from a branding wisdom, stop.
From a branding standpoint, I hate it.
Yeah.
But as an artist, I feel like you can do what you want. Like, I'm not bothered by it, but I just don't think it's a good look for our brand.
Gotcha.
Good point.
Wisdom.
Unless we do math.
See, Tosh has wisdom. She's dropping that knowledge.
Yeah. So also to that point, so like for me, that's why I'm trying to build like the PhotoMeIke. So that's why like in my videos, I don't put Ike and Tosh very much across it. Even like at the bottom, I stopped linking the stuff because she's right. Like I don't want people to, even the kind of work I create for YouTube and for these shoots, I don't want people to book Ike and Tosh expecting PhotoMeIke work. Our brand is a separate brand from my YouTube brand. So I try to keep it separate, but it's kind of like, so some people who know about Ike and Tosh know about the YouTube channel. Most people don't, but there's a few people who do. So that's the only issue. But hopefully, if that clears up any kind of questions people may have about how she feels about it.
And I think she,
Brand-wise, it's conflicting, but if there wasn't an Icontosh brand,
yeah,
sorry,
good.
I messed up my camera. I'm trying to correct it.
No worries. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions in here. Um, Ike, what software do you use to edit your photos and videos? Also, where do you find the music and the sound effects that you put in them? It's always dope and funny. I believe you did a live broadcast on this already, of where you find your music. You said SoundCloud is one of your sources that you go to.
I just find random song. I have a whole playlist on SoundCloud that I have for my music that I use. That like I'll just go in through and find like random songs, and then like sometimes I use like short clips of real songs because I like some of the music. So like for example the Hot Springs vlog, the songs that I use in there are real songs that I like listen to, like real Tyler the Creator songs that I just use like snippets of, because I know I won't get flagged if I use like 10 to 15 seconds of it. If I use like a minute, it's gonna get demonetized. So I know that for sure. And then I use Final Cut Pro to edit my videos.
Yeah.
I used to use Adobe Premiere, but I switched to Final Cut Pro because Final Cut Pro has way more options for the stuff I want to do. Instead of with Final Cut Pro, you have to have Adobe After Effects to do a lot of the stuff that you can do in Final Cut Pro. So
Yeah. Wayne uses Final Cut Pro now, but I still use Adobe Premiere. But it's easier. Rendering time, he raves about it. The rendering time is phenomenal. So Michael is saying you two should do that. You two should do a weekly, but Tuesday. You're messing up with Jason and Danny. La la la. I missed it. I had to support you young men of color this time. Let me tell you something, Mike. I've been doing this for over a year, every Monday. So Danny and Jason is messing up my time, right? We gotta look at it that way. So, anyways, it's all good. It's all good. Actually, I don't usually go this long, so I usually don't go over when they're doing their live broadcast. So usually, my broadcast usually ends, and you could just go and join theirs. So it's all good. So Laurie expectation for Star Wars. Oh, DBG I guess saw Star Wars. He's saying lower your expectations. I guess it's not that great. So what else is here? A solid point T. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Is any other questions? Is there an affiliate program on SoundCloud? I believe the answer is no to that. But do you know, Ike?
not that I know of. I ended up on SoundCloud looking for music, like other music, and on a side note, SoundCloud is great for finding like underground artists who aren't mainstream and just different types of music that you're into. And then like when I started a YouTube channel, I was like, oh, I can find a bunch of SoundCloud artists who aren't like really major artists who I can find and use their music for my YouTube videos, which still sounds good. Because otherwise, if you're not like finding random SoundCloud songs, and even then, sometimes those can get like flagged or claimed by like other people, which is BS. But with SoundCloud, geez, I forgot the point I was making. You can find really cool songs just in general on there, as well as artists who are like up and coming, who are making music just for fun that you might like, that you can use, as opposed to using a site for music. Like, for example, there's a site called The Music Bed, which makes like songs that you can like buy and license for your videos, but they're like $50 to license them. And then there's Epidemic Sounds, which I think is a new one, which actually has some good stuff up there.
That's the one we use.
Your audio library on YouTube is good and complete and copyright free. And see, so DB, like those songs that are like on audio library on YouTube, it's a lot of that stuff they just kind of scour SoundCloud for. I have a whole playlist of music that I found on SoundCloud that I like. Oh, I like this. This will be good for a YouTube video, and I like put it on the side. And sometimes it'll get flagged because I don't go through the proper channels like license. I'll just use it and hope it doesn't get flagged. And Most of the time it works out, but every now and then I get hit with this isn't we're gonna work. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I used to use Music Cloud. I used to use Triple Scoop, but those things become very expensive, especially when we're pushing out content like every week. It becomes very expensive to pay $60 per music every time to license it. So Epidemic, I'll put the link in there. I don't know why I'm tripping over the damn word, but they, you pay per the size of your channel and the number of views and stuff like that. And it's a little bit more affordable. With SoundCloud, I did find, like, when I did my Dubai vlogs, I found like all those music from SoundCloud, and then I basically reached out to the person that published it, and I said, hey, do you mind if I use this music in my video? And they're like, no, not at all, but you cannot monetize it. I was like, no problem. I don't need to monetize this. I just want to have the awesome music to go along with the story. And they're like, yeah, go ahead, no problem. So some of them are free, some of them are not free, because they're not going to allow you to monetize some of the music. So you just have to pay attention. Sometimes it's right there in the description of the SoundCloud track. It says, you can use this. It's free to use it in your YouTube video, whatever. Sometimes it's not there. And if it's not there, just reach out to the person that published it. They have their social links in there. Reach out to them and say, hey, can I use this or not? And you get your answer from that. So check out Ryan Title. He has a YouTube channel making beats. He lets folks use his music. Ryan Little, you mean? Sorry, not Ryan Title. Ryan Little. Okay, so Matthew Sixart. I can't pronounce his last name. Sorry, I'm butchering it. But Ryan Little. Okay, well, I'll check that out.
Yeah, and sometimes I can be picky about the type of music. So there are like some artists who, like, I'll use a bunch of their music and then I'll come across something like, and I'll look for different types of moods and songs, and even that can hold up the whole process of me making the video. Is just finding the right song that I can monetize it safely, and B, that sounds good and actually fits for me. Because the music is a big part of, like, music for me is just important to my videos, as much as the content itself. Like, I don't just pick a song and say, oh, we're going to put this song. Like, the music I use, I have to be able to listen to without the video at all. Like, I just, so
yeah,
I'm funny about music.
Yeah, that is absolutely, that's absolutely vital, because music really adds a sense of feeling to the video, because without it, it's just, if you ever watch the video without music, sometimes I do it, or no sound, it's a totally different experience than if you were watching it with music. So yeah, music is definitely key. Ike, David Rise, I don't know if this is a question or not, but he just put it in here. Ike, your sense of humor is wild. Your facial expression are priceless. I really like the way you make use of all your equipment in the struggle studio. Yes, Ike is very entertaining.
And I've been thinking about, like, trying to stay along that whole theme of struggle studio. So that might become the underlying theme with my channel, just trying to get by with less than and still coming out with some great stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of people that's going through the struggle. So they definitely relate. All right. So I think there's nobody else has any questions in there. So I think I went through everyone's questions. So guys, if you didn't feel in this whole conversation that we had about, the topic that we had tonight, which is how to get started in the senior photography business, if you didn't think we answer a particular question, then it's collectively, our oversight, because, I asked questions, you did. So I'm hoping that collectively we addressed all those questions, and hopefully not only help you guys who's live right now, but help whoever else is going to watch this video later on, to help them, hopefully start their senior photography business. So I seriously want to thank Ike for allowing us to basically pick his brain on this particular subject matter, because he gave us and gave me a lot of information on this entire business. I don't shoot seniors, so it gave me a lot of insight and input on it. So thank you very much, Ike. Do you want it?
No problem. I'm laughing. I'm looking at my phone and laughing because the model in the video, the trailer, she like I promoted the video and I was like, yo, this is the trailer. But I was like, oh wow. So I'm like, I hope she don't get excited because this is not the actual video. I'll show you guys.
She was ready.
Yeah, she was like, PhotoMeIke. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Is it that? Hold on.
Well, she gets some insights.
Yeah.
Insight into what's to come.
Right. I'm like, okay, wow, that's nice.
Okay, so let me share one thing really quickly with you guys. Not that you don't notice already, but you should already notice. So this is PhotoMeIke's YouTube website. So if you go to YouTube and you type in PhotoMeIke, you should be able to see his channel, and you could subscribe, watch all his amazing videos that he have on there. He's very candid, straight to the point, and his motto and his motto is basically he's the realest photographer on YouTube. Okay, so
you guys, you for better or worse, I'm always gonna keep it real, right?
So yes, you will definitely see that coming across in his videos. So if you go there, you'll definitely see that. Also, check out his Instagram. First of all, his Instagram stories, forget the news feed. His Instagram stories is just off the chain sometimes. So you got to check out his Instagram stories if you don't follow that. Yeah, go hit him up with a follow on Instagram, and also hit me up with a follow on Instagram if you're not already following me. And that is it. So Ike, let me switch back here. Do you have any last words for the people before we sign off?
Nope, no words at all. Just hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and if you have any questions, send me Instagram. I'm not big per se, so like when people send me questions or respond to stuff, like I can easily get to it. I can still see a question. I don't have 100,000 subscribers where like I can't even get to all the questions. So I'm really easy to access. If you have questions about anything I do, my work, again, if you like any of the videos, just hit the thumbs up and leave a comment, because that is very much appreciated in YouTube on general. It just say good stuff, even if it's a fake comment. Like, great photos, just do something, just engage me.
I gave him insight on something else when we were talking yesterday, so I won't bring it up here about those comments thing. I just want to read one really quick comment from folks here, because I think it's important. At least I feel it's important. Torrance Pollard is basically saying, great content, only plan to stay for a little while, still here 3 hours later. So, hey, it must be some great content. So I appreciate you hanging around for this length of time. I can't believe it's 10:52 p.m. in the evening here. So it's.
You see Ernesto, and you be like, why my lives be going long, and then you get caught up. See?
Well, I just didn't want to cut off the conversation, and then people saying, give me more. So I think they got a good experience here. So DMAC, yes, I can't wait to meet you as well in Vegas. So stay tuned. We're gonna have more information on that. All right, so that is it, guys. I appreciate you guys sticking around. If it was 3 hours indeed, actually 2 hours and 28 minutes. So I appreciate you guys hanging around. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And when this video is no longer live, make sure you put some comments on here, because that's how YouTube like to see things. They like to see people commenting on videos. So comment on the video after the fact. Even if to say, great content and you already put a comment in the live chat. Just, put something. All right. Share this video with your friends and family if you haven't shared it already, guys. And one guy's just saying it's like 3:53 a.m. in London. Hey, you beat me, man. Kelly, you
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, props to you, man. Thank you for sticking around. So share this video with your friends and family. And guys, if you're new to the channel, if you came over from Ike, give me a subscribe. If you hit that subscribe button, because I do put out like YouTube tutorial videos on posing, lighting, and composition. So you probably should find something that you like. So that is it, guys. Thank you. I will see you guys on the next Monday critique, which would be January 8th. By the way, thank you, Tony, for the super chat. Appreciate it. So January 28th is the next Monday live critique. I'm trying to get a guest for that one. It should be off the chain, so stay tuned for that. I probably will be on before the end of the year just to say hi. Maybe I'll do like a call-in, like you guys could call in and we can have a conversation live before the new year, and close it out that way. But if we don't chat, or if you don't tune in before the new year, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that good stuff. So see you guys later. I'm shutting it off now. Talk to you guys later. Bye.